There we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to A Fistful of Dice. My name is Matt. You are watching session 13 of the Provokers entitled Blood Moon. I am again joined by three of my esteemed colleagues. We are juiceless tonight. He will be sitting out for this session and maybe an additional session after this, but then he'll be back and better than ever in those Brasswick pants of his. Down in the basement. Actually, he's not going to be in the basement anymore because he's moving, so there's not going to be any more Provokers laundry happening. But in any case, I'm going to pass it to these guys here. They're going to introduce themselves, reintroduce their characters as if they need any introduction. We're going to go ahead and start with Barker.
Hello, everybody. My name is Barker. I'm 1/4 of AbsoluteTabletop.com, and I run the YouTube channel Be a Better Game Master. And I am super stoked for this session, as always. And thank you all very much for watching, and thanks, Matt, again, for watching, or for running this game.
Yeah, sorry, I just made a huge noise there.
I didn't hear it, but I thought you were laughing at me. Like,
no,
do I have a booger in my nose? Am I like that kid at the pool party who's got the booger hanging out of his nose? And it's neon green? You know,
and you're just like, and you're like talking normally, but everyone else is just like staring at the booger. Yeah. Like, no, I did that thing where I touched one thing and it started a chain reaction on my desk, and I almost lost everything. But we're okay. So, all right, Nate, go ahead, buddy.
All right, my name is Nate. I run the YouTube channel WASD20, and I am playing Erdon Seroshent, a wood elf fighter, and I'm looking forward to getting back in the swing of things here. Continuing on our adventures. Absolutely.
All right, Timbo.
I am Tim, and I am half of Tabletop Terrors, and 1/4 of Absolute Tabletop.
And 1/16 of something else.
Cherokee Indian. And I'm all woman.
I knew it! and I'm all woman.
That's the only way to end that. Yeah, so check out Tabletop Terrors, but one thing I do want to encourage everybody to do, if you haven't already, check out the Absolute Tabletop Facebook group. We have a Facebook group now, and it's just a cool, fun, kind of little community, and we would love for you to hop in. We have, it's facebook.com/groups/Absolute Tabletop. Did I say that right?
Yes, 100% right.
Awesome. So if you're a fan of Matt, and you're a fan of Barker, and you're a fan of just good community, hop in there and horse around a little bit.
Absolutely, and I also want to point out that the newest Absolute Tabletop supplement, Be a Better Weapon Master, is still pay what you want through this session. So if you haven't picked it up yet, go to AbsoluteTabletop.com and pick it up because it's an awesome supplement, and it's our last supplement of 2015. So.
And it's pay what you want.
And it's pay what you want. You can't get a better deal than that. So, who wants to give the recap for the last session for a point of inspiration? A point of inspiration and my undying respect, which none of you have yet. You have yet to win that.
Tim does. Tim wants to give it to you. He was telling me that earlier in the chat.
I was like, oh, I hope he picks me. Except I did it last time.
You did do it last time.
That's why you wanted to do it.
Nose goes.
No.
Oh!
Nate, you were the last one. You called it, and you were the last one.
I didn't keep my finger there. I thought, I forgot.
Nose goes. And then I went.
No, seriously, I feel so out of it. Like, I don't even remember the name of the town where we were. I feel really bad.
All right, I'll do it.
Tim will do it. All right.
Here we go. So, the Provokers emerged from the troll tunnels, and we were victorious. And we entered into a small fishing village. And we had with us Mir Stonegaze and Erdon's sister, Lyrawise. As we approached this town, something happened that is yet to happen to the Provokers lately, and it's that the captain of the watch didn't recognize us at all. He doesn't know anything about what's going on. And so he brought us through the town, and we kind of noticed there were some people lashed up, so being punished in the town square, and we found out that there was a temple there that was dedicated to Ilmater, who is Brasswick's deity. And so, of course, Brasswick had to go and kind of pay his respects to Ilmater. And when he gets there, we find out that someone who he was just a wee pup with, someone who he came up with as an acolyte, is the I guess, chief patron, the head priest at this temple. So they kind of caught up, and oddly enough, Brasswick actually felt that it was his duty to stay there. And so we moved on to drinking away our sorrows that we lost our Brasswick. And in the bar, we see this one-armed guy. He's just a fisherman, nondescript, just kind of hanging out. And he notices that Durgan is wearing a ring. Now, Brasswick had this ring on for a very long time, but he gave it to Durgan sort of as a parting, like a, hey, we'll see each other soon. This man immediately changes entirely. He's no longer a fisherman. This is a battle-scarred warrior behind this man's eyes. And he immediately comes up to, at that time it was me, I think, Erdon, were you just walking into the bar at that point? And a sleeping dice. And we went with him. He stole us away, and we followed him immediately. He told us who he was, and he told us that his name started with an E. I can't remember it. It's not Eloise.
His name was Emory.
Emory.
Yeah.
So he was.
And
his name was Emory.
The barkeep at the tavern that you guys were at referred to him as M. So he's been going as M for the last few years, it seems.
So he took us to what was essentially sort of a secret kind of bunk that he had, I think. And he explained to us that he was a Convoker. He's an ex-Convoker, and that he himself was once partnered with the man who we call the Corruptor. And he's a retired Convoker, and we're reeling. We're having all of this hit us at once. And as soon as we take a breath, Hell Screamers come bursting through the door. End scene.
That is a perfect recap. I don't think I have anything to add to that.
That's amazing.
Actually, I do. I will add that when you guys did defeat Deadhead, the two-headed troll, three-armed, horribly mutated troll in the troll tunnels, and in doing so, you found that the troll had like a stash in the tunnel, and you guys found a few cool items, including an elven cloak, which Erdon took, a really nice ancient dwarven axe that Brasswick took, and also a vial of a strange, like silvery blue, almost mercury-like liquid, which I believe Dice kept.
Mm-hmm. Just like Brasswick to take the badass axe and leave the party.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, peace, I got a +2 weapon. I'll see you guys later.
Later, guys.
I'm going to use it to prop against this temple chair.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing, too, is that you guys managed to talk the town, which is called Fulgrim, by the way. You managed to talk the town of Fulgrim into accepting the refugees from Shade Vale, at least temporarily, which was kind of a big deal. So the displaced elves of Shade Vale, including Mere Stonegaze and Erdon's sister Larawise, are now staying in what is basically the slums of Fulgrim. It's called Chum Street, basically. So, we're going to go ahead and begin. It was always the same dream for Emory. Every night, the same dream. He was falling for minutes, falling thousands and thousands of feet, the wind billowing in his ears as it rushed past him. Blood flowing from the stump that was his arm. Falling, and above him, the clouds, dark and oppressive, lightning flashing through them, and the silhouette of a man astride a griffin, far above him, fading, and then disappearing within those clouds. And as he plummets towards the earth, he always wakes up before he hits the ground. And that is true now as well. As he's plummeting, and the earth is rushing up to meet him, and he wakes up, and his ears are ringing, and there's debris, there's dust in the air, and it takes him a moment to collect his thoughts, but once he does, he realizes that he's in danger, that you're all in danger. And so he reaches for the dagger, that he's dropped on the floor and starts looking around. Dice, what does he see when he looks at you?
He sees Dice's startled face. He's clutching this staff in both hands. The staff is almost completely made now. It's smooth on all sides, and has like a sheen over it, and chopped at both ends, like a perfect, almost too perfect, but it's still a little rough around the edges. And Dice is kind of circling towards all around him to see his surrounding enemies. He sees that his kind of old military garb with brass buttons all the way to the top is becoming more and more decrepit as time goes on. Some buttons are missing. It's open down to his chest, and the blue, the once beautiful royal blue, is now almost completely like a mess of gray, and his eyes are wide as he's looking for the next enemy to break through the door, and he shouts, "We got to get out of here!"
Emory looks next to Erdon. What does he see as he finds you, Erdon?
I imagine I have my back to Durgan, actually, and we're kind of circling, weapons at the ready as we have just pulled them, and I look just bedraggled, just worn out, dark circles under my eyes, sort of a clammy sweat clinging to my skin as I breathe heavily and get ready for a fight that I certainly don't feel ready for.
And finally, he looks upon Durgan. What does he see when he looks at you, Durgan?
For a moment, Emory has a chill run up his spine as he looks directly into the eyes of the Corruptor. And the Corruptor's eyes are glowing red as smoke plumes from them, and then he realizes for a second, he comes to and realizes that Durgan is holding Storm's Reach with the Corruptor's helmet crushed upon it. And what was always a gold and red light is now a deep crimson, and there's no gold, as Durgan just has these, different pieces of his battle hammer pluming with this red smoke as he's invoking his deity.
That's awesome. The last thing that Emory sees as he takes stock of his surroundings, as he looks around the ruins of his shack, this fisherman's hut that he's lived in for over a decade at this point, are the massive men that are walking through the door, weapons in hand. The one in the front has a vibrant red beard down to his chest, braided with bone and bits of stone. He clutches an axe, and his jaw open wide in this scream that you all have come to know too well at this point. And with your ears ringing, with your vision spotty, with debris still floating in the air from this initial blast of sound and thunder, the men rush into the room with weapons in hand. In initiative order, Erdon, you are acting first. There are 3 Hell Screamers inside the hut right now. One of them has a red beard, one of them is missing an eye, and the third one is clutching 2 axes. What would you like to do? Oh, you're muted, buddy.
I am the new Mute King.
I am the Mute King! Bow down before me!
I don't know who I'm
You
taking
wish you knew what I was saying.
Yeah. All right. I pull my shield off. I pull my shield off my back, and I'm actually going to just rush them, and I'm going to try to knock all 3 of them over if I can, or one of them, possibly creating a domino effect. I don't know.
Absolutely. So you're just going to charge at the one, basically the closest one to you, just try and charge into him.
Right.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead and give me an athletics check, please.
Okay. That is very good. That is 23.
Yep. Number to beat is 12. You are you basically just kind of bowl this guy over and knock him to the ground. For all intents and purposes, you're kind of grappling this guy as you drive him down to his knees.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome. That was Erdon. Brasswick's next in initiative order, but we're just going to go ahead and skip him and go to die. You're up, buddy. A moment of silence for Juice, please. All right, you're up, Barker.
Okay, great. Dice is going to turn to, you said, Emory, and he's going to say, do you have a way out of here? You need to get out of here.
And he sort of shakes his head, barely hearing you over the ringing in his ears, but he shakes his head and says, no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying and fighting.
I call stubborn old bastard, and I turn around and look to probably the one who's holding these two axes, which he's still standing, correct?
Yeah, the one that got bowled over is the one with the red beard.
Great, and the one with two axes is just staring directly at Dice, and Dice holds up his staff, and it just coats itself in frost as this just steam begins to waft off of it. Steam because the air around it is too warm to contain the cold that is the staff, and Dice will fire a magic missile, actually, at this person.
Okay.
So 4, 8. 9, 10, 11 force damage as these bolts of just white hot ice strike this person.
Yeah, he staggers backward, putting his back against the shack as these bolts slam into him. You see there these kind of black marks of frostbite on his chest as the magic of it fades, and he grits his teeth and starts stalking forward after being hit with these bolts.
And then he says, we got to take one of them prisoner. Maybe all of them.
Emory is up next. He has this dagger reverse grip, and he sort of moves along the side towards the Hell Screamer on the left, who is missing an eye, and he drives his dagger forward, but the Hell Screamer catches the dagger in his axe and turns it aside. You see that Emory moves as someone who knows how to fight but hasn't done so in quite some time. His lunges are a bit sluggish. You see him wince as he lunges out, almost as if something's hurting him. And again, he's fighting with one arm, and probably not his good arm at this point. That brings us to Durgan.
So as Durgan hears Dice's words, and he sees that Erdon and Dice pretty well have this covered, he goes, "Ally there. Well, let's wrestle." And he puts his hammer away, and then he spits on his his gauntlet-covered mitts, and he charges the biggest one to grapple them, basically tackle them to the floor and put them in the old Stone Rift choker.
Yeah, the old Stone Rift half Nelson. Okay, cool. So go ahead and give me an athletics check.
Oh, yes! Natural 20! Yes!
Awesome.
First roll of the night!
Awesome, man.
Woo!
Awesome.
Yeah!
So,
I have 7 points of inspiration from all the sessions. I rarely use it. And I was actually hoping for like a terrible roll, but I'll take it.
yeah, man. Okay, so Erdon is grappling the one with the red beard. You're going to go after whichever one is next biggest?
Pretty much. I said biggest. I think I meant whoever is not being engaged. I know Dice shot the other one in the chest.
Yeah.
So I would say the third one who they're not engaged with.
Okay, yeah, so you would go after old One Eye there.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, he is grappled. You can describe to me what that looks like as you get him in the grapple.
So how tall are these guys?
They're like 6.5 feet tall. They're Barker sized, but wide.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
Thank
I
you,
imagine
You're welcome.
Nice.
They're exactly 1¼ barkers big.
Excellent.
But not fat. Thank you. I love that.
I have a perfect visual now, though.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I think that One Eye would grin because he sees this dwarf, someone who's probably up to his waist, and so I think he steels himself to kind of catch me. But I would say at the last moment, I sort of just dodge a little bit to the left and just plow into him. He's not ready. Have you ever seen somebody take a hit and they think they're ready?
Yeah.
Just that, like, so I think I get under him and sort of football tackle where I lift him a little bit, and so that's how we're grappled.
Yeah, and you hear the floorboards creak as you hit the ground with this guy, just bringing, hundreds of pounds of weight down on the support structure of this shack, which I remind you is essentially suspended under the dock in Fulgrim.
Oh yeah. And I then take the palm of my hand and do the, push up the chin action.
Yeah.
I'm just pushing his chin as hard as my stout little dwarf arms can reach.
Awesome. Yeah, you do. So you see that the muscles in his neck just bulging against as you're just pushing his chin. Awesome. Okay, it is their turn. So let's see here. So Redbeard, the one that you were grappling Erdon, he's going to try and escape the grapple with an athletics check. So you can oppose that with your own athletics check here.
I will.
He got an 18.
All right, I got a 24.
Okay, yeah. He starts to squirm his way out, and you just like reverse your grip and push further down and keep him locked in your grasp. He's not getting away. One Eye, instead of trying to escape your grasp, Tim, as you're pushing his jaw, Durgan, you kind of have your hand in his chin. You see his mouth open up, and he takes in a big gulp of air. And I'm gonna need a DC 12 Constitution saving throw from pretty much everyone in the shack.
All right, not bad.
Gosh. Ooh, a natural 1.
Oh, damn.
I do believe that's a miss according to the rules. A failure.
I think so, yeah. Okay. So, anyone who made the save, you're going to take 3 damage. Anyone who didn't make the save is taking 7 and is pushed back 10 feet. So, Durgan and Erdon, you both managed to keep your footing, but the wave of sound hits you like bricks. Like you just feel the bludgeoning of this in your chest and in your heart as this sound wave hits you. And Dice, you actually are hurled back against the wall. You hear a window shatter behind you as you hit the side of the shack and topple to the floor.
Yep. And I probably lose my staff.
Yeah, just don't forget it.
It goes rolling away. Yeah. Hey man.
I left my staff under Emery's bed. Damn it.
No, I have to make a new one.
And,
yeah, but the sound is like wind almost, and it's just like, and the staff itself for a moment is against the wall, held there like as if by force, and then it just comes tumbling down.
Yeah, like have you ever been on that ride, like that fair ride where the thing spins around so fast and the centrifugal force pushes you against the wall? Like that's what's happening essentially to Dice right now. The Hell Screamer wielding 2 axes rushes forward. And is going to try and attack Erdon as he's grappling. Both attacks are going to hit with these hand axes. So that's going to be 8 slashing damage, Erdon. You feel slices against your back as this guy just hacks at you with these axes. Yep. They bite through your armor.
Yeah, I cry out, and I'm just kind of wincing now from this scream and now those slashes. But I'm just on top of this guy. Not going to let him up.
Awesome. Okay. That brings us back to you, Erdon.
All right. Yeah, so I've got this guy enter me, and before I'm kind of trusting, I guess, having a little faith in my friends here to keep this other guy off my back. So I'm going to try to finish this guy off below me. I've got my shield just pressed down on his chest still, as I've just barreled him over with my shield, and I have my sword, and I'm just going to try to sneak my sword in above the shield and try to see if I can get at his throat at all here.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, you have advantage because you're grappling him.
Okay, and that will be so I get 2 attacks, and that's the first one will be a 22.
Yep.
And the second one, oh my gosh, that's my second crit of the night. That's a okay. So I guess I get 2 blows in somewhere up there, and they will be 4. Let's see. Okay, I don't attack when I'm carrying my shield, so I got to figure out. I think it's 1d8 when I have my shield.
Yeah.
Okay, so that'll be 8 plus 16 damage total.
Okay, great. Yeah, you feel your blade find purchase. You maybe miss his throat, but you feel it jab into his shoulder as you sink the sword down past your shield, under your shield. You hear him kind of grunt as your sword slides in.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Dice.
Dice's wind is knocked out of him, so you don't hear much when he tries to, scream some sort of plan or some sort of proposition to his companions about how best to defeat these enemies. You just hear kind of a wheeze, like a and he's crawling over toward his staff, and he reaches over his shoulder and he pulls out a shard of glass from the window that he just broke and kind of chucks it along the floor. Crawling towards his staff, he wants to grab it. The entire time he's looking at this person with the 2 axes that presumably might be coming after him or something.
Okay, great.
And so yeah, grab my staff if I can, unless he's trying to stop me.
No, yeah, you can get to it. You kind of scrabble along the floor and grab it off the floor.
Awesome.
And if you want, I'll let you take a standard action because you can move, use your bonus action to grab the staff up off the floor. And if you want to do a spell, you can.
Okay, I do. I want to take my staff. I'm still on the floor, and I want to press it against the floor and just cast grease, but icy, and just cast this line of slick floor directly towards this person with the axes.
Okay.
And he would need to make a dexterity saving throw.
Right. And that's the one where you can avoid your allies, right? You have that
yes.
Selective casting.
I meant to relook that up, but yes, I took Sculpt Spells, and I believe that allows me to make it, yeah.
Cool. Okay, so he's got to make his save. What's the DC for that?
The DC for that is 14.
Never mind, he failed it.
Okay, cool. It's 14, and he falls prone.
Okay. So,
sick.
We have 2 Hell Screamers grappled and 1 prone currently. Just of the 3 that are in here, they're all incapacitated. All right. That was dice. So Emory gets to go. So seeing the Hell Screamer with the 2 axes kind of slide and fall on his back on the ground, and again the floor of this shack just creaks as his great weight hits the floor. Emory kind of falls upon him with his dagger, driving his dagger into the guy's chest and yanking it out, and you hear the guy cry out in pain, and blood drips from this dagger that Emory has, and it's the dagger that he's holding is, I mean, it's probably a dagger that he uses to clean fish. Like, it's just a very simple-looking, kind of rough-edged dagger, but he drives it into this guy, falling upon him and putting his knee into the guy's gut to try and get as much leverage on him as he can. All right, that was Emory. Durgan, you're up.
So I want to continue the grapple, and then in addition to that, if I look over, would I see either Dice or Eridon in trouble? That's what Durgan would look for, kind of like mostly is Dice in trouble?
Yeah, when you look across, you see that at this point you probably see Dice scrabbling across the floor to get his staff, and then casting. He's in the middle of casting this grease spell. So you see that he's up, he's okay. You see that he's bleeding a little bit, but not too bad. You do see that Eridon had got hit with the 2 axes before the guy went down, so he's bleeding quite a bit from his back.
Gotcha. So, how far away would I be roughly from Erdon in this small shack?
The shack itself is probably 20 square feet at the most, so you're at most maybe 10 feet away from Erdon.
Okay, so if I used my move action, I could reach him to lay on hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
That sort of thing.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna try to do is, I don't know if you'll let me do this, but I'm going to grab this guy by the shirt and pull him like just 5 feet so that I can reach Erdon and do like a lay on hands while I'm still pseudo grappling him.
Yes. So, yeah, I'm gonna have you do a strength check to see if you can move with this guy.
Okay.
I think that's what you do.
Ha! I'm gonna use inspiration.
Okay.
Let's count how many times I do that tonight. Much better. All right. 22.
Yeah, you managed to drag this huge man along with you as you move the necessary distance to Erdon.
Perfect. So it's just this, and you see Durgan's sort of grimy hand just touch Erdon's back, and at first you see that there's sort of a red heat, and you see it pulse through the axe wounds, almost as though they're bleeding more, but then they sort of seal up and are scabbed over. And so I'm going to use Lay on Hands for whatever Erdon, I don't know how many points you need.
I'm not down too far. I think I'm down to 37 from 54, so.
Okay, so basically I would, so it's not super metagame. Basically, I would heal the wounds until they were gone and all scabbed up. So
okay, yeah.
I have enough to give you a total of 37 if you need them, so take whatever you need from there to get back to full.
All right, thanks, man.
Yeah.
I had faith, you see? I just had faith.
There you go.
Awesome. All right, so that was Durgan. Now it's the Hell Screamer's turn. So the one under you, Erdon, the one that you've stabbed with your sword that you're kind of driving your shield into him, you hear him take in a great gulp full of air, and I need everyone in the shack to go ahead and give me another DC 12. It's going to be a Constitution saving throw, please.
I have a problem. I don't like using inspiration. It feels like I'm cheating. Like,
that's why I give it to you so you can use it.
All right, I'm going to use them all up. Let's just, you know what? It's like I got a bonus at work, and I'm like, let's just spend it in the shack.
Let's just go for it. Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Yep, I made it that time.
Okay, cool. All right. Dice, what'd you get?
He's muted.
You're muted.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I think my wife started the treadmill.
Oh.
I don't think anyone watching knows what that means.
She's walking to Timbuktu.
Sorry.
She is.
A 9.
9. Okay. So anyone who failed the save, you're going to take 12 thunder damage, and anyone who made the save is taking 6 thunder damage. Normally, when the Hell Screamers, when they scream, it's a very audible yell. It's a blast of sound. It's almost like getting hit with a particularly powerful bass. But when this guy underneath you yells, Erdon, it's almost imperceptible. Like it's like this high pitch, like just outside the range that you can detect with your elven ears. But it explodes in your head, just like blood starts trickling from your ears as this wave hits you. Any window that isn't already broken shatters. Glasses shatter. There's a vase sitting on a dresser that shatters. The dresser kind of just explodes, sending clothes everywhere. Bits of wood fly everywhere, and the bottom of the shack kind of goes, kind of starts sagging as the floorboards stress under the weight of just this hideous sound wave that just flows outward from this Hell Screamer. Okay, that was Redbeard. One Eye is grappled by you, Durgan. He's going to try to escape as you're dragging him along. Oh my god, but he doesn't. I'll have you roll just in case. Just in case.
Sure.
You super suck, too.
Just in case I have to use all my inspiration up on this guy.
Exactly.
No, I didn't super suck. What
Okay.
did you, mine was 17.
He got 4, so yeah, you're fine. And the one with 2 axes who's prone, he's going to actually stand up using his move action, and then he's going to try and attack Emory with his 2 axes here. You see Emory kind of dodges aside one axe, but then the other axe just kind of finds purchase in Emory's side, and he kind of winces and kind of doubles over as the axe bites into his side. Okay. That brings us back around to Erdon.
All right, so I just am shaken and, just felt this pulsing throughout my whole body. Yeah, like you said, the blood from my ears. And I'm just, the only reason I'm still able to do anything is because I happen to be on top of this guy with my shield pinning him.
Mm-hmm.
And I once again am going to try to, this time I'm going to try to just stab for his side with my sword out wide. And do I still have advantage on that?
Yes, you do.
Okay, so the first one is 23, and the second one is 16.
Yeah, absolutely, both hit.
Okay. And my d8s. 11 and 7 damage.
So 18 altogether?
18, yep.
Okay. Yeah, you stab your sword in pretty deep. You see blood flowing from underneath this guy. All right, Dice.
Okay, Dice looks around him. He's in kind of a fishing kind of shack, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, great. Is there any sort of thing like the spear of a harpoon or something sharp that he can grab off the wall?
You actually see that there's a long pole with like a hooked blade on the end of it, and it's something that they use on the dock to grab boats that are far out and pull them towards the dock. But it looks like if you wanted to, you could use it as a weapon.
Okay, Dice is actually going to go over and grab it, and he's going to try to toss it to Emory to perhaps have a better weapon than the dagger that he's using.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So are you going to give him a heads up, or are you just going to toss a hook at him?
I'm absolutely going to say, I'm going to give him a heads up, and I'm going to say, "Hey, stubborn old bastard!" And he throws the hook.
He definitely recognizes that he is the stubborn old bastard and looks towards you, and he drops the dagger, and as you toss him the hook, he grabs it and immediately turns and whirls to use it on this guy. And in fact, it's his turn, so he will go ahead and do that. Ooh, all right, yeah. He the guy with 2 axes, he's got his axe in Emory's side. Emory kind of pulled away. He grabs the hook and just drives into this guy, and the hook catches the Hell Screamer right in the shoulder, and Emory just kind of yanks him forward, kicks him in the knee, and they're fully interlocked in combat. Okay, dude can fight. He's clearly been in fights before. He's just a little rusty at this point. So, all right, Durgan, you're up.
So after the, touching the small of Erdon's back,
Felt so right.
it is. You can't fight it. It feels so right. But it feels so right. All right, so what I think I would do is, when you said that the dude that I'm kind of grappling tried to break free, I imagine that he sort of tried to turn, but it was a miss turn, so I just shook him, But now what I want to do is, I think Durgan's feeling some pent-up anger. It's all kind of the perfect time for these guys to be punching bags. Brasswick left, everything that just happened. And so Durgan is going to try to knock this guy unconscious.
Okay.
By headbutting him.
Okay, awesome.
Repeatedly.
Yeah.
Just like taking the sword, he sees that everyone else kind of has their junk handled, and he's just looking at this guy like, you picked the wrong day, man.
Right.
And he's just going to be like, huh, huh. And as he's doing it, I want him to sing like a stone riffed, as they're like mining, like a mining song. So like as they're doing that, like, something that would be rhythmic, and he's just like, just smashing this guy's face with his own.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, give me an unarmed strike, if you would, please.
Oh, inspiration.
Burning through those inspiration points like they're going on sale.
I know, hold on, I gotta actually keep track of that.
Durgan's going to be a superhero in this session.
I know.
Man, fate is really intervening in this session for Durgan.
You know what's even worse is that I actually have the feat luck, where I can basically reroll 3 times.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be like you said, super heroic. That time, it's a 13.
13? That is just enough to hit.
Score. And I attack twice. Does that still count? Or is that just a weapon attack?
Yep.
Yep. This time is a 16.
16.
Yes,
okay.
I'm so excited at how well I'm rolling.
Awesome, man.
I'm like stoked.
I am too.
All right, so you you get 2 good headbutts in on this guy, and you see you kind of split his eyebrow. You see blood trickling into his eye. He's like, ah!
Yeah, dude.
He's got a thick skull though. Like this guy clearly has like giant blood, because when you ram your skull into his, like it's just like hitting like an iron shield, like just like completely unyielding.
Dude's got that Conan skull.
Yeah, man. Exactly.
They're always like Robert E. Howard is always forever having Conan getting hit in the head, and the attacker's always like, "You have a head of steel, Sumerian."
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
So that's what Durgan says. You have a head of steel, Sumerian.
I love it. All right. It's the Hell Screamer's turn. The one under you, Erdon, he sort of spent his Hell Screamer abilities at this point. He's going to try and basically just kick you off of him. He's going to make an athletics check, and I'll need an opposed check from you. Ooh, he rolled pretty good.
I rolled pretty bad. I think that's a 8.
Okay, he got 19. So he basically, as the floor sags from his scream, this bellow that he just let out, you kind of stumble a little bit, and he rocks backwards, brings his leg up, and just kicks out and catches you right in the gut with his boot and pushes you off of him. And he gets up, and he does that thing with his axe where he just kind of twirls it, just kind of revolves it in his hand, and then catches it and just like, and starts moving towards you with the axe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just kind of roll back, and I roll onto my back, and then I'm just up on kind of one knee looking up at this guy as he's heading towards me.
Awesome. All right. That was Redbeard. One Eye is still grappled by Durgan, and he's going to... let's see here. He's actually not going to try to escape. He's giving up on escaping, Durgan, and he's just going to try and hack at you with this axe. And he's going to do so. You see him kind of like, as you've been headbutting him, you see that his eyes just kind of dilate, and he just... and he's going to use his rage ability here to gain advantage on his attacks, but all attacks against him will have advantage as well. So Durgan, he hits you with his axe for 8 slashing damage, just kind of driving the blade into your leg, twisting it a little bit and yanking it out, spraying dwarven blood across the wall of the shack.
Yikes. Durgan would cry out just like, "Ah!"
And the guy with 2 axes locked in combat with Emory is going to continue fighting Emory, but with the hook, Emory sort of blocks with the butt of the hook and twirls it around, bringing it around for another strike. Okay, Erdon, you're up.
All right, so I'm sorry. Is the one who was charging me? Is he currently engaged with me, or did he just head off?
No, he rushed towards you, like he's
Okay.
right on you with his axe.
Okay, so yeah, I would probably perceive him as the immediate threat, and I am I just basically got the wind knocked out of me, but I shake it off, realizing that I'm going to get crushed if I don't do something, and I'm just gonna just kind of lunge up off my knee, sword and shield in hand, and just try to kind of surprise him. He probably thinks he has me down, but I'm just gonna lunge up. And one of the attacks is a critical fail, and the other one is a 15.
Okay, the 15 hits.
And that will be for 10 slashing damage.
Okay, go ahead and describe to me how you kill the red-bearded Hellscreamer.
Right, so I'm on one knee, and I lunge up with my shield, and I'm kind of trying to give him the impression that I'm just going to bowl him over again with my shield, but at the last minute I just move my shield out of the way, and my blade is just right there, and I plunge it right into his chest.
Awesome. Yeah, and he sort of continues coming forward as you drive the sword forward, almost like he's not quite ready to give up yet. But as the sword goes deeper and deeper, plunging through his heart, he just kind of coughs blood in your face, Erdon, and slides off the blade backwards, his heavy weight toppling to the already sagging, creaking floor.
Awesome.
All right. So the one-eyed Hellscreamer and the Hellscreamer with 2 axes remain. The one with one eye is still being grappled by Durgan, and the other one is engaged with Emory. Dice, it is your turn.
Dice watches the red-bearded Hellscreamer kind of slump to the floor and looks to Erdon, maybe catches his eye and says, "Oh, you're really good at taking prisoners." And Dice, kind of panting a little bit because he's been running around, will first inform the DM that from now on, Grease I'm unable to sculpt because I just looked at it and it's evocation only. So Dice will totally cheat and stop concentrating on Grease, and that's gone. No worry, no harm, no foul. No harm, lots of foul. And then Dice will actually say, "How about a taste of your own medicine?" And he holds up his staff again, and it just becomes encrusted with ice, and it's almost like it's keeping some pressure in, like the ice is too dense, and then it kind of reaches this climactic point where it becomes completely silent in the room, and then it explodes as he casts Shatter. And everybody in the room other than, because I can sculpt the shit out of this spell, other than my friends, will have to make a Constitution saving throw, and that's a 14 DC.
Giving the Hellscreamers a little taste of their own medicine, huh?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Okay. One eye makes it, 2 axes does not.
Okay, well then one eye will take half of 11 damage, and 2 axes will take 11 damage.
Awesome. And again, just the shack just starts kind of crumbling around you guys, like the parts of the ceiling kind of fall. Loose board falls and hits you in the head, Durgan. Dust and debris are just flying all over the place. And you see, as the floor is sagging even more and water starts seeping up through the floor and rushing around your boots, you see Emory kind of turns and gives you this alarmed look, Dice, seeing this spell emanate from you, just kind of like, "What are you doing? Why are you destroying my house?" kind of look. All right.
Dice will scream the word "sorry," but it's only his mouth moving. You can't really hear it. It's just...
I'm sorry, dude. Speaking of Emory, he is still locked in combat with 2 axes, and 2 axes has just been hit with this wave of thunder, and so you see blood trickling from his ears and his nose, and he's kind of rocked back, holding up his hands, not used to getting hit with the spells that these Hell Screamers are so known for. So Emory's going to lash out with this dock hook and catch him for some additional slashing damage there. Okay. That brings us to you, Durgan.
So I'm thinking, as I'm headbutting this guy. This is before the dice does the Transformers like boom. I'm headbutting this guy, and I'm just, like I said, rhythmically like this stone rift digging song. So Durgan was just like, and he's just like, we dwarves work blessed rifts of stone to mighty kings upon their thrones. And he's just doing this, and he wants to do it 2 more times if he can.
Yeah.
Before the floor gives way.
Because that's how much is left in the song. Two more little verses. He's got to finish it up.
I've got to finish it before, unless he's like, ah! All right, so one of them was a natural 20, and one of them missed based on the 13, so I re-rolled it, and it was a 14. So
okay.
Both of them hit.
No, the 14 hits definitely. So, and with the crit, so that's unarmed damage, but it'll be double. So let me get that really quick. Yeah, you continue headbutting this guy, and you see his nose is split, blood just flowing from his nose. Now you're just slamming your forehead into his face at this point, breaking everything in his face, just breaking his entire face.
And so there's, as Dice mentioned, or as Barker mentioned, there's 2 more lines to the song, and you can tell that this is Durgan's favorite part, and he's like, the lightning stirs within our bones, and he goes, psh! And then he takes in the breath to say the final part, and he's just so happy, and he sees his work, and the floor collapses. He's like, ah!
Exactly, and that's exactly what happens. Is the floor splits in the middle. I'd like the 3 of you to please give me dexterity saving throws, please.
Yeah. Okay. That's a 15 for dice.
Okay.
20.
Nice.
That is a natural 1 for Durgan, and I have to tell you that I don't, because he's the least dexterous dwarf that ever existed. I can't use inspiration. I'm sorry. I have to take the crit fail. I have to.
I would have been disappointed in you if you used inspiration.
Me too. Yeah. I'll throw you a rope.
I had to. Yeah. I had to take the crit fail.
So here's what happens. As the floor gives way in the middle, everything in the shack starts sliding towards the middle of the shack where the floor has collapsed downward into the water. Emory, you see as the Hell Screamer that he's fighting goes down and starts sliding down the floor. Emory reaches out with his hook and hooks the hook to the side of the shack and just hangs on with his one arm, just like, just trying not to go into the water. And the 2 Hell Screamers go sliding into the water. The dead body of Redbeard goes in too. And Durgan, you were so locked in combat with this guy. You're holding him, you're headbutting him, and he's grabbed onto you. You both go go tumbling end over end into the water together, and the water just rushes up around you, filling your nose and your nostrils and your mouth. Just you taking a big gulpful of water as you're trying to go on to the next verse of the song as you're tumbling down into the water. Dice and Erdon, what does it look like when you guys avoid going into the water?
Well, I imagine that as soon as I start to feel the level change, I just scramble up, just hands and knees, or I guess feet and hands, and I just scramble up to a wall, and I'm just I grab the door, basically. I'm just holding onto the door of this shack.
Yeah, and when you grab it, like, it comes off one hinge as your weight settles into the door, and then you see it kind of hold your weight, and you're like,
Dice would grab on a fishing net against the wall, and it kind of extends outward a little bit, kind of like, because it's only attached to the wall at one point, and he's kind of holding onto it, and he's definitely, not going in the water, but he's trying to reach his staff out toward Emory, who's kind of hooked on to perhaps help him up. So Dice is hanging from this net, this fishing net.
Okay, cool. And as you're hanging there, you see, Emery's bed kind of toppling end over end and falling into the water, and you see that trunk, the trunk with his Convoker armor in it, is sliding into the water, and you see Emery's face just kind of go, like his eyes kind of widen, and he kind of like reaches out for the trunk, even though it's like 10 feet away from him. He just reaches out like futilely towards the trunk as it goes sliding into the water.
So is it in the water now?
Yeah, it goes in the water, and you see it. The trunk kind of floats for a second and then starts filling up with water, and it starts sinking. All right, so that was Durgan. So that brings us back to Erdon.
Okay, so are all of the Hell Screamers in the water now?
Yes, they all went into the water.
Okay.
You can still see them, like they just went into the water, and you see them kind of scrambling, trying to get back up into the shack.
Okay. I would probably. Oh man. So if I stepped out of the shack, would I still be able to see through the floor that's broken?
If
I step through the doorway, or is the door? I mean, is all the boards near the shack also kind of?
No, you can. If you moved out of the shack and were like on the ladder that led down to the shack, you could still see into the water and see underneath the shack and all of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would probably be very concerned for Durgan at this point, and so I'm. Yeah, screw it. I'm jumping in. I got my sword, my shield. I'm gonna try to jump on the nearest Hell Screamer that has slid into the water.
You got it, man. You got it. I'm not even going to make you roll for it. You can go ahead and just describe what it looks like, and go ahead and take a point of inspiration as well.
All right. So yeah, I just, in fact, I just throw my shield off my arm, and I'm just gonna jump in, and the nearest Hell Screamer, I just plunge into the water, and my blade just finds that spot right in the back, and just straight through the heart, and I just kind of. We both sink, and I just am holding on, relying on some buoyancy from this body now as we both go into the water and start sinking down, and I'm trying to pry my blade free so I can eventually get back up.
Awesome, yeah. And as you go in through the haze of blood that just pours and clouds the water around you as your sword drives into this Hell Screamer, you can see Durgan like struggling in the water with this third Hell Screamer, and you also see Emery's trunk just like submarining, just like going down, bubbles coming out from it as it's filling up steadily with water.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Dice, you're up.
Okay, Dice sees that his staff is not long enough to reach Emory, and Emory is already hanging off the edge with this. I believe it's called a gaff. Michael Sham in the chat said it might be called a gaff. So.
Awesome, cool.
So I hope that's the case. But he realizes that it's not long enough, and Emory just won't be able to reach it. So he kind of looks around and sees a coil of rope on the wall, and he points his staff towards that, and he casts Mage Hand to loose the coil down, and it kind of tumbles through the hole and next to Emory for Emory to grab a hold of to climb his way up.
Awesome, yeah. And as he sees that, he looks up and he grabs the rope and loops it around his wrist and like lets his weight fall on it, and he's going to start kind of climbing his way up the rope. Just kind of, or wait, I guess he can't. He's only got one arm, so he loops his arm around the rope and is like, "Pull me up, pull me up."
And that's what I'll do whenever I can. I don't know if that's next turn or this turn. So
yeah, it'll be next turn, absolutely. Okay, cool. So that was Dice. So and Emory just went. So okay, so Durgan, you are in the water. You get to act before this Hell Screamer, but you are both kind of locked in combat in the water, and you are heavy. You have hammer, armor, like you're sinking pretty steadily with this guy into the water.
So I just imagine that as everything shattered, and Durgan's headbutting the guy and all this, it's very loud. It's a cacophony. And as he's falling, it's still loud, screaming, and Dice is casting a spell, and Emory is stabbing and all this, and then it's just that silence of water. And you just hear everything sort of muffled out, like, and I look, and thank God this Hell Screamer's unconscious. And then he does the classic, opens his eyes underwater, and I'm like, you know, and I'm like rolling around in it, and I think that I would probably try to push down on him because I know how heavy I am, and I know that it would be very difficult. So I think I'm trying to push him down and use his shoulders to kind of like push up and get closer to that surface.
Okay, yeah. So you're in control of the grapple, so you can basically willingly let it go, let him go and kick off of him. So, and I'll need an athletics check for you to try and kick towards the surface.
Okay. So it's a 14.
So it's a tough swim, but you kick those little legs, and you just are moving those powerful arms, and you push the water away from you and start moving up steadily, and you can see the light from the shack above you from where you fell in.
Perfect. And Erdon at this point jumped in to save me, right?
Yeah. You see, as you're swimming up, you see Erdon going down, like huh? Like with this sword in this guy, you know?
Well, and I think, too, that I would certainly, for every 2 movements, I'd move up a little bit. Like, I'm just like Durgan's not a great swimmer. There's not a lot of water in Stone Rift. It's a lot of ice. And he's in all the armor. So I think that, as you said, like, as Erdon's kind of jumping down, I would feel relief, like, this spry little elf is going to help me out. Like, I'm just like...
Awesome. All right. So the remaining Hell Screamer, the one that you just kicked off of, Durgan, you see him kind of floating down, sinking further as you kicked off of him. You probably kicked him in the face as you were swimming up, and so you see blood just continuing to flow from the ruin of his face that you just smashed in. But you hear something from underneath you. It's the strangest sound. It's like a... and it's moving up towards you, and this sound wave is going to overtake you as you're swimming away. So go ahead and give me a Constitution saving throw, and Erdon, I'll need the same from you.
I think our eyes would sort of meet, and as I hear it, my eyes would grow wide, like looking at Erdon.
Yeah, exactly. I returned that look.
Oh no. Oh no.
I got an 18.
I've made a decision that I'm not using inspiration in this underwater scene at all, because it started with a crit, so that's going to be my thing. But 7.
7. Okay.
Modified 7.
So Durgan, you take 9 thunder damage. Erdon, you take 4. And Durgan, you are hurled through the water 10 feet. And here's what it looks like. Dice, you are in the shack with Emory, and it's silence. Like, after everyone went into the water, it's like this crazy silence. And Emory's kind of holding onto the rope and looking down at the water, and then you just hear... and just water just sprays upwards with this blast of sound and thunder that has emanated from the Hell Screamer underwater. It's like an explosion underwater, you know, where it just and water just goes everywhere. And inside of this explosion, you see Durgan just flying upwards into the shack, probably slamming against the ceiling. And Durgan, I'm going to give you a chance to try and grab a hold of something with a dexterity saving throw at disadvantage.
Oh, boy.
That'll go well.
Oh, boy.
Oh, wow. Well, my first roll was a 2.
Let's see if you get worse than that, though.
Oh, the second roll was a 4. So, and Durgan is a -1 dexterity, so I have my roll is a 1.
Yeah. So you fly upwards into the shack, scrambling for something in midair. Yeah. You probably lock eyes with Dice for just a second, and then fall back into the water.
Just like for a second, I sort of stopped cartoonishly, almost like as gravity goes and takes place. And I imagine I miss everything by this much. It's like everything's moving and I'm just like, and I just kind of look at Dice and like shake my head no as I fall back like a cartoon.
And you do see that some of the other things that have fallen in the water are erupting upwards into the shack, including the trunk with Emory's armor flies up, and Emory kind of like sees it flying through the air. And Dice, I'm going to give you a chance to grab it with a dexterity saving throw.
Awesome. And Dice would absolutely want to do that, and he would spend a point of inspiration, because this is very important to him. And he got a 12.
Okay, so you reach out, you feel the handle of the trunk brush your fingers, but then it just falls and into the water again and starts sinking once more.
All right.
Okay. Back to you, Erdon. So, you were underwater. You just saw this hell screamer that's sinking emit this sound wave underwater, and when you look down, you see that he's actually sunk himself farther by emitting that sound. You can barely see him as he's sinking down and down. You are riding that other hell screamer down. You're pretty sure he's dead as you've basically skewered his spine with your sword, but you do see Durgan plummet back into the water next to you. And he just has this look on his face. Like I'll let Tim describe what he looks like as he plummets back in the water.
I think if he could communicate with his eyes and with just bubbles, it would be, "Look, I'm sorry. I know. I'm really sorry. Look, I'm trying my hardest." Like this. Yeah. I'm doing everything I can. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, and if before we kind of had the same wide-eyed, like, oh no, look on our eyes, like, now I've got this, like, what? Look on my eyes, like, just anger, like, yeah, just like, what? You had this. So, anyway, I am just gonna, try to pry my blade free. Is Durgan above me?
Yeah, so Durgan is kind of above you. You see him sinking down to your level as he falls back into the water, and you're able to dislodge your sword with just a quick tug, and you can kick off the body as you go.
Yeah, exactly. So I imagine myself just kicking off, and I swim toward Durgan, but not if he's too far out of my way, I wouldn't go. But if it's kind of upwards, then I would swim toward him and try to maybe grab him as we both swim up.
Absolutely. Yeah, as you're swimming upwards, go ahead and give me an athletics check.
Okay. All right, that is a 14.
14. Okay, so yeah, you easily you spry elf. You swim upwards. You kind of loop your arm under Durgan's armpit as you pass him, and just kind of carry him upwards. And as you are reaching up, getting out of the water, you feel a hand grab you and start yanking you up, and you're met face to face with Emory. And as you come out of the water, he just kind of nods at you, and you see he's kind of braced against the wall, has the rope tied around him, and he's grabbing you with his one good arm and just holding you there.
Cool, yeah. So I just take his help and am gasping for air at this point.
And Emory just kind of goes, "Well, we should probably get out of here before the whole thing collapses into the water."
That would be a good idea. I'm just coughing up water.
So, without too much trouble, you're all able to get out of the shack, and you see it's just kind of collapsing around you, just pieces just falling into the water. And Emory is just soaking wet. He's bleeding from a couple of wounds, and he's just kind of sitting on the dock, just standing there, kind of watching his house that he's lived in just sink into the water, and he's just kind of like, and as he's standing there, the red-haired corpse of one of the hell screamers just bobs to the surface of the water, and he looks down and grabs the gaff from the dock and starts trying to fish the guy out of the water.
Before I forget, I retrieve my shield.
You do so. Everyone has their important shit.
Yes.
I was going to say, Durgan would probably say to Dice, "Hey, you have that staff? I spent a lot of time on that riverbank."
Dice is still he still actually has the wind knocked out of him from that earlier collision with the wall, so he's kind of keeled over a little bit, coughing, spitting.
So Durgan would play it off as though he's slapping him on the back, but what he would do is, even if it was just, figuratively without actually having to give you hit points back, Durgan would slap dice on the back and be like, "Oh, rub some dirt on it!" But you would see sort of a red effect, sort of like, as any ailments were healed. But he wouldn't say that. He would just be like, "Oh, rub some dirt on it," and does a sly lay on hands as he slaps your back.
Dice feels much better almost instantaneously, but he spits one more time, catches his breath, and he nods thanks to Durgan.
Emory's got that guy pretty much up to the dock, and he's hauling him up and drops his girth on the dock, kicks him over so he's face up, points at the corpse and looks to you and says, "Have you all dealt with these things before?"
There have been a few.
That one's by far the hairiest. But they all look a little different, though.
Aye.
It's the scream that gives them away.
Right.
And I just kind of shake my head as if I'm still like, and I'm actually wiping the blood from near my neck.
Yeah, where it was coming out of your ears, absolutely. Yeah. And all of your ears are still ringing from the repeated Hell Screamer screams inside the shack. Emory kind of is rolling this guy over, looking for stuff. He pulls a ring off of his finger, puts it on the dock. He pulls out a piece of parchment that's covered in blood and sodden with water, and he kind of whips it to get some of the liquid off. Reads it and looks up at you guys and just hands it to whoever's closest.
I guess probably Aradon.
Sure.
Yeah, he hands it off to Aradon.
And what do I see on this? I take it in my hands and...
Yeah, through the blood that's staining it and the ink that's kind of running from the water, you see that it says Fulgrim, and then it says, "Do what Strong Song could not."
And
Aradon, you're reminded of Una Strong Song, the one who led the Hell Screamers last time you tangled with them, and whose throat you cut at the bottom of Stone Rift.
And at seeing that, I'm actually... It's a painful reminder. It was a confusing time. I was under the influence of the dragon scale at the time. And I just kind of... I actually just take it and I tuck it into my belt. And, yeah, I shake it off.
Emory stands and kicks the body back into the water now that he's gotten anything useful off of it. And he grabs the ring off the dock and looks it over and kind of hands it out to whoever wants it and says, "I believe this is enchanted. Has a bit of magic to it."
Oh, what makes you say that?
Intuition. You're a wizard, are you not?
Yeah, sure. I guess I am.
Well, give it a look. Let me know what you think.
And I'll take it. What does it look like? What does it feel like?
So it's a pretty simple silver ring, but you see that along the side there's looks to be a kind of a shield etched into it. If you want to give me an Arcana check.
Dude, I will so give you an Arcana check.
Awesome.
Got a 9.
You're not sure what it does, but you definitely feel the power of it. It doesn't seem extremely powerful. It has some minor magic on it, but yeah, you can't tell specifically what it does.
Can I tell what the symbol means?
Just looks like a shield.
Okay.
So Emory just kind of leaves that with you, and then stands and kind of looks at the three of you and says, "Well, what's the plan?"
I think Durgan would say, sorry about your house. I just wanted to say that up front. And if there was any gold left, remember we had a little bit of money from that. I would sort of like rummage around and like awkwardly give him like, I don't know, some gold, like just to try to pay for the damages.
And if you offer him gold, he kind of shakes it off and says, I don't imagine that I'll ever be coming back here.
I'm sorry I couldn't.
What's that?
I'm sorry I couldn't. I tried the trunk.
Oh. It's funny. I've almost tossed it in the water myself so many times. It's not like I could walk around with it on anyway. I don't know why I kept it. Just a reminder, I guess. But I'm not a Convoker anymore. I haven't been for a very long time. And if I help you, I'm not doing so as Warden Emory Suresteel of the Convocation. I'm doing it as M. the Fisherman, concerned citizen of Gwynterod.
Will you help us?
I don't think I have anything else better to do. Yes, I will help you. I think I have a part to play in this yet. I think that's why I was spared all those years ago. Why I didn't die.
Do you know of a safe place that isn't here for us to kind of just lay low for a couple hours or something and figure out where we're going to go next?
I thought my house would be safe, but you all have attracted the attention of some very powerful beings, it seems.
Yeah, everybody except for the people we want to. Dice remembers everyone not knowing who the Provokers are.
Right.
Well, in any case, Arundel is aware of you and has sent these men after you, it seems. So no, I don't think there's a safe place, and I think that the longer we're here in Fulgrim, the more we put this town in danger. More danger than it's already in, with an orc horde marching towards it.
Aye. Well, at least we know that Brasswick's here as a first line of defense, and I wouldn't leave anyone else with more confidence. But in the meantime, I think we have a job ahead of us, no?
At this point, I just kind of slide against the remaining wall. I just slide down and just say, I could use a little rest.
Can you tell us about these tribes that attacked Fulgrim a while back? That was, I think that was our only lead, right? And Dice looks to Durgan, or Aerdon says to ally tribes against the Corruptor.
Aye, something I think about the centaurs or something.
Yes, the centaurs of the Bloodhoof Steppe. Well, the steppe is an area not too far from here. It's to the west. 10 years ago, the tribes united under a centaur known as Timur the Undaunted. He led them in a great war against Gwynterod, and it was only with the combined forces of Fulgrim and several other towns that they were able to repel them. They haven't been heard from since, but it is my understanding that the centaurs only do things as dictated by the moons and the alignments of stars. So if the moons and the stars aren't right, then they don't ride against Gwynterod. They're stubborn, savage creatures, centaurs. It will be difficult to convince them that they must ride against the orcs. But for the life of me, I cannot think of another alternative than to just leave Fulgrim to its fate. But they are not equipped to deal with an army of that size, if what you say is true.
Aye. Well, then maybe we rest for a spell. Just a little bit to wash up, get the blood off us. And then we head to the Bloodhoof Steppe.
Very well. Well, if there's one place I know we can find a short rest, it's where we met, back at the sunken dock.
Aye. Aye. Then let's go there. And I tell you, if we need to, we will move the moon and the stars ourselves to align the centaurs with what we need to do.
I appreciate the enthusiasm. We'll see. All right, come then. It's no longer safe here. And as you move off, Emory will look one last time at the water, like bubbles popping on the surface as his house just sinks further and further into Lochbrunn. And he just kind of shakes his head, follows after you. And you again find yourselves in the sunken dock. And the barkeep, that halfling woman, Brine, she kind of looks up and eyes you curiously as you walk in, probably a little bit more sodden, a little bit bloodier, a little bit more haggard than you were when you initially walked in. And M, again, hiding his lost arm, the stump of his arm with the cloak, walks up and speaks a few quiet words to Brine. She nods to him a few times, and then he motions you three over to the bar. But you have a few moments to converse amongst yourselves if you'd like.
I think Durgan would look at Erdon and Dice and sort of just go, all right, if we have any objections to any of this, we need to talk about it now.
Dice will say, whatever gets us to Falhas sooner. We have to go.
Aye. Erdon?
We need rest. I'm not thinking too far past that, but the plan as laid out sounds as good as any.
Aye. All right, well, let me go try to buy this guy a drink. I mean, he broke his entire house, so I think I owe him that much.
Aye.
And you'd hear Durgan would sort of look and go, by the way, which one of you dropped his stuff? Like, who dropped his trunk into the water? That was just insult to injury. Poor guy. And I would just kind of walk towards the bar, asking that rhetorically, like, I don't even want to know who did it.
You move towards the bar, and Emory kind of leans on the bar towards you guys and says, Brine has agreed to give us a couple of rooms for the night. I've told her that we have been attracting trouble, but she doesn't imagine it will be a problem for one night. So we should rest up and leave in the morning. The sun is going down as we speak. I will need some gear myself. I might go take care of that now and then come back.
And Durgan would earnestly, like, he wouldn't take no for an answer. He would actually put gold in Emery's fist. And he would say, aye, take this. It's the least we can do. Get yourself equipped as well as you can in this area. And he just puts, like, I don't know, whatever chunk of coin, just like take this and go get decked out.
And you give him the gold, and at first he starts to hand it back, but then he kind of goes, I suppose I don't have any gold myself. Thank you, Durgan. Thank you.
Aye. And to make him feel better, Durgan would say, and honestly, it's just as much for us as it is for you.
Right. Well, it's not quite enough to buy me a new arm, but I could afford some decent steel with this. Thank you.
Aye.
And he moves off and leaves the tavern. Brine hands you guys a couple keys on rings and tells you your room numbers for the night.
And
I would.
Oh, go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah, I would just immediately take that key and start walking away, just like I'm dragging. My feet are just kind of sliding across the floor at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been too long since you guys have slept. Between all of the nonsense in Shade Vale and the troll tunnels, your lids are heavy, and Dice did take a nap when you guys were getting sloshed at the tavern earlier. But I mean, it was just a couple hours at the very most. And so as you go up to your rooms, the floor creaking underneath you as this half sunken, half floating tavern just kind of lists on the water as the lake ripples. You head upstairs and find your rooms, and they're small. Each one has two small, thin beds, a little more than cots. Each room has a small window and a wash basin inside of it. But it's a soft bed. There's a blanket. There's a pillow, and that's more than you guys have had for some time.
The tavern and inn feels like it's kind of rocking like a baby cradle for Dice, and it's just so nice. And he lays down and is sacked out almost immediately, clothes still on, stinking of fish shack, and awful. So.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have ever fallen asleep on a train, but that's exactly what it's like. Like, it's just that gentle rocking back and forth where you're just like, you just sleep like a baby, just like, oh, okay, and you're just out.
Perfect.
Nice. Yeah, I do remove my chainmail shirt, but other than that, that is feeling so heavy to me at this point that it's a struggle just to get that off. And as soon as that's off, just whoom.
Absolutely.
And I think Durgan would sort of tease the others as they were falling asleep, and he'd be like, "Oi, what? You're going to bed without a drink?" Oh. And he would sort of shuffle out of the room like, "Oh, I'm going to get a drink and everything," but really, he's keeping watch. But he didn't want the guys to know that he cared enough to keep watch, so he was like, but Durgan, I'd say, probably keeps watch for a good hour or so, and then once he really feels like, okay, this is safe, he goes downstairs, has a very quick drink, and then he also nods off.
Okay, great. Yeah, the three of you sleep fairly peacefully in this tavern in the sunken dock, and I imagine Erdon and Dice, you guys are bunking together in one room, and Durgan, you probably took the second room, I imagine.
Sure.
And Durgan,
Dwarven-sized.
Yeah, the dwarven-sized room.
Dwarven-sized room. Me and my snoring.
You got a discount for that, right?
Yeah, we have the senior citizen discount and the dwarven citizen discount. Exactly.
They charge double because we're so dirty.
And you drink so much.
It's like a pet deposit.
Yeah, exactly. You, Durgan, you're sound asleep, but you're startled awake by the sound of hissing steel, of a weapon being drawn out of a scabbard.
I would immediately grab Storm's Reach, and without looking, I would just spring up in my, just shirtless. Because that's the same thing. I sort of took off everything from the waist up, and I'd just be like, who's there?
And you see Emory is standing there, and he kind of has this look on his face, and you see him put his sword back in his scabbard, and he says, "Sorry, didn't mean to wake you."
Oh, I was awake. I just was waiting to see who it was. Preparing myself in the darkness.
And you see, when you met Emory yesterday, he was a stooped, kind of late middle-aged man, graying hair, kind of stubbly beard, just stinking of fish, reeking of brine, and just kind of draped in this haggard cloak. But you see standing before you this tall, very strong, very capable-looking man. You see he's wearing leather studded with fine steel, and at his belt he has a longsword. Nothing flashy, nothing ornate, but just a good, sturdy longsword, probably bought secondhand at a blacksmith. And you see him, as he sheathes the blade and tucks it into his belt, reaches down and tightens the buckles on his boots. And then reaches out a hand for you, and if you take your hand out, he drops a few silver pieces into your hand, which is the change left over, and says, "Thank you."
Aye. It's more suiting. What'd you grow, like half a foot? Aye. You look like a pillar, lad.
Well, I shed some weight yesterday, a few 100 pounds of shack and livelihood into the ocean, into the lake.
I'm still really sorry about that. I don't mean to smile. You're just taking it so well.
Well, sometimes you don't realize how little something means to you until it's not there anymore.
Aye. Well, something else. I'd like to pay you for your services. Here's what I mean. We're going to be traveling. We might have to eat. We might have to sleep. And I don't want you to feel like you're in our pockets. I wouldn't like that feeling myself. I'm a proud dwarf of Stone Rift. So, you're a conscript. If you'll have us, we want to pay you for your work. You're a strong, capable hero. And you won't be working for free. And that way you can eat as you go along.
I am doing this because I feel responsible for what's happening. I tried to stop Arendelle 15 years ago now, and I failed. But you, Provokers, are doing the impossible. You're doing what I could not. You're doing what the Convocation cannot. I will earn my gold with the rest of you, and I will not have you pay me for my services. I don't even know if I'm any good with this sword. We'll have to find out.
Aye. Well, I offered, and I don't share my ale. So, good luck.
He nods and says, let's go see if the others are awake. And we'll cut here to the other room where Dice and Erdon are waking up as the sun peeks through the window of their room, and you two have a few moments to converse as you prepare.
I just groggily kind of trying to put my shirt back on and just feeling heavy, like I got a fraction of the sleep that I really need, but there's important work to be done. I say to Dice, "How are you feeling?"
Like somebody took a bag of meat and put it in a box for 2 weeks and then took it out. I feel like the person who's the first person to open up the bag. And he just kind of does some stretches and kind of stretches his back a little bit, and it pops in a couple places. And he says, my life was so boring before the Wayward Wanderer.
I didn't think mine was at the time, but looking back, it sure feels that way now. I can go back to a boring life sometime soon. I could handle that, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And Dice will pick up his staff and kind of smell himself a little bit and kind of give some approval, like, that's not as bad as I thought it would be. And I assume we'd probably go check on Durgan since he was keeping watch.
Yeah, you step out into the hallway and you see that Durgan and Emory are already stepping out into the hallway as well. And you see, just like Durgan did, that Emory looks very dissimilar to the fisherman that you met yesterday. He's fully decked out in this leather armor. Clearly secondhand leather armor. It's kind of well worn in some areas, and the metal studs are kind of dinged and rusted. And has a sword at his hip. And you see slung over one shoulder he has a satchel with a bedroll on it and a few other supplies hanging from it. and he just kind of nods to the two of you and says, well, suppose we should get something to eat and head out.
Oh, don't you look strapping?
Thanks.
Yeah, you clean up well.
I tried to talk the man down, with the missing arm. I don't really need armor over here, but he still charged me full price for the suit, so.
Is the arm attached? Or
No,
is it...
you see that it's like, it looks like he cut it and kind of stitched it close on that side, so he doesn't have the weird hanging floppy sleeve on that side. But he does have, the way his cloak is, his cloak is kind of hanging down on that side of his shoulder, so unless he brushes the cloak aside, you don't see that he's missing his arm.
Right, well then let's eat.
He heads downstairs, and there's like some biscuits and stuff set out for breakfast, but there's no meat or anything like that. But Emory kind of has a couple biscuits and then tucks a couple more into his satchel as you two are getting ready to go.
Yeah, I'm just shoving my face at this point. Just getting as much as I can in. I'm famished.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, there are crumbs everywhere on this table, and then Dice will even kind of sweep his hand and kind of pile them into a pile, and then put them into his hand, and then take that mess of crumbs from his meal and the meal before him, and just chomp it down.
Oh, totally.
There's even some like cigarette ash or pipe ash there that he just whatever.
Just tosses it in there.
Yep.
He just wow.
Like peanut shells, all sorts of stuff.
How long of a trip? He looks to Emory. How long of a trip to the Bloodhoof Steppe?
Well, the steppe is a mere half-day's walk, but the centaurs are more difficult to find. Their capital of Calcardo moves. It's never in the same place. We'll have to track the centaurs across the steppe, try to find them.
Can't be too hard. Hooves, dirt.
I don't know if you've seen the steppe, but it's pretty big. One of the bigger regions here in the Western Southlands. It could take us days to find Calcardo, and at that point the orcs could have overtaken Fulgrim, so we'll need to move quick. It may be a couple more days without sleep, if you all are up for it.
At that, I would probably stand up, and I'm still shoving my face with biscuits, but at least I've stood up, and I'm... Let's go!
So you all, after stuffing your faces with biscuits, head out. Brine bids you farewell, and the four of you set out. And you kind of skirt around this lake of Lochbrunn. The sun is kind of rising, and the rays of light are cascading down Tellin's hillock behind Fulgrim, glittering across the lake. You see there are already fishermen on the lake casting their nets and their lines. They've probably been out there for several hours catching fish at this point. And as you move further and further away from Fulgrim, the sounds of the town fade, and it sort of grows smaller and smaller behind you. And after a few hours of walking, the landscape changes very gradually, and it shifts from the kind of green, hilly plains of Gwynterod into the kind of rocky grasslands of the Bloodhoof Steppe, this just very flat, expansive stretch of land. The wind here is just intense, coming off the White Crags to the north. The wind just beats against you, billowing your cloaks behind you, and the grass blowing back and forth in the wind looks like waves on the sea, kind of coming in and out, but you all kind of put your heads against the wind and trudge on. Occasionally you stop checking for tracks. Eridon, you're probably the most adept at this, but Emory seems to be fairly skilled as well. And you begin to start triangulating the position of this capital of Calcardo. You find some old camps. You find some cold fire pits. You find tracks that are, a few days old. And you track the centaurs for probably about a day, and then eventually stop and make camp under a rise of rocks. And as you make camp, you see the void moon, Nilum. It's a moon that you don't see very often. Its orbit is such that it only appears in the sky maybe once a month. But it's a moon that does not reflect light. It only drinks in light. And so as it moves across the sky, it looks just like a black hole, just kind of floating, blotting out stars as it moves across the sky. There's no texture or color to it at all. It's just a absence of light. And Emory's looking up at this moon as you all are making a fire, and he says, "This is not good. The centaurs rely on the moon and the stars to make decisions. The void moon is an ill omen. The tribes don't go to war under the void moon. This will be a difficult task indeed."
Dice would turn to Eridon and Durgan as well and say, let's say, not so hypothetically, let's say they don't help us. Do you think the elves of the Shade Vale and the dwarves of Stone Rift will be enough to protect Falhast?
They'll have to be.
I'm just wondering how far or how long we should take in trying to get these centaurs on our side.
Not long. Not long at all.
I don't want to waste too much time on these superstitious folk, and I look up at the moon, just kind of shaking my head. I don't understand it.
No, the void moon's a real thing, Eridon. I'm not a very superstitious person myself, but some terrible things have happened under that moon.
Oh, Nick, you'll be telling me that Crow's a real place.
No, everyone knows it's not.
Are you crazy? Jesus.
Emory says, listen, I know that Falhast is the ultimate goal, but if we aren't successful with the centaurs, the orcs are going to destroy Fulgrim without a thought. And I know it's a out-of-the-way fishing village, but it has been my home for the last decade. They took me in without question, gave me a place to live, and I know it wasn't a grand existence. I lived in a shack under a dock. I fished every day, barely made ends meet, but it was my home. And I'd like to try and help it, if possible. In addition, if we can stop the orcs from joining the Corruptor, it'll be a huge blow.
Aye.
Wait, stop the orcs from joining the Corruptor.
Yes, well, where do you think they're going?
I know,
After they destroy Fulgrim, they're going to meet up with the rest of the Corruptor's army. He's probably made them promises, told them they will control Shade Vale in its entirety. I don't know what his motivations are, but he's managed to unite all of these Gavalt tribes. He's managed to win the allegiance of the orcs. I'm not sure what he's promising, but it must be worth their while to march.
Aye. We've nothing to promise these centaurs or these dwarves who are my kin or the elves of the Shade Vale except you won't die. Aye. Well, what do we say to these centaurs? Well, first, Erdan, we gotta find this place. What's it called?
Calcardo.
What he said.
Well, do your thing. I mean, I know it's dirt, but this isn't my place.
Erdan is very skilled in tracking. I imagine we're closing in on Calcardo soon, and we should probably come upon it tomorrow. Well, hopefully, unless they decide to move tonight.
We're getting close. But when we get there, someone else is going to have to do the talking. I have no patience for this. I just... You'd think they would see the practical realities that life is going to change if the Corruptor and his army win, but I don't know. And I just kind of walk off and start wandering in the direction we're supposed to go.
Emory kind of leans towards the fire and says, "The centaurs care little for the plights of Gwynterod. In fact, they, as I said, they led a campaign against it about a decade ago. Appealing to their good nature is not going to be successful, I'm afraid, but there are other things that centaurs care for: glory, honor, the spoils of war. I'm not sure how we're going to do it, but everyone needs something. Everyone wants something. And if what they want is something that we can provide, then maybe we can convince them."
Aye. Since Brasswick isn't here, we'll let Dice do the talking. Huh?
Oh, jeez, Durgan. I do all the talking. It's your turn. I've never even seen a centaur in my life. I didn't even know they existed. I didn't believe they existed until yesterday.
I haven't seen one. I haven't seen one either.
You've
but
never
you're
seen a
weird
centaur.
looking. Dice says, "Yeah, but you're weird looking. Like, you can weird looking things and other weird. I don't know. Maybe we'll dress you up."
Dress me up like, what am I going to get on Erdan's shoulders?
That was my first idea, actually.
Who's going to be the other legs? You?
Well, no.
Oh, we just got to find out what they want. If I mean, I want something.
That's true.
Let's try that, but if it doesn't work, you can dress me however you want.
The centaurs are massive creatures. I think you're imagining a regular-sized horse and a regular-sized man.
Aye!
Not
Almost
the
like,
case.
like a pony with a gnome on it.
No, about 4 times that size, actually. They are quite large. There's a reason they are so feared in this area. But as I said, they haven't been heard from in some time. I'm not sure what they've been up to wandering the steppe, but it hasn't been anything that's affected Gwynterod in the last 10 years. You three, you said that you gained the allegiance of the dwarves of Stone Rift, the elves of Shade Vale. How did you go about doing these things? Tell me of your travels. I wish to know more of how you've achieved these seemingly impossible tasks.
I'll leave that to my comrades.
Well,
Eric,
my folk, the elves, they were easy to convince. I mean, Shade Vale is in ruins. There's nothing left to do but fight. Seek vengeance for the destruction the orcs have wrought on behalf of the Corruptor.
Arendelle has made the mistake of backing many cultures into a corner. And when folk are desperate, folk fight back because there's nothing left to do. I think ultimately that will be his downfall, is that he has left good people no choice. What of Stone Rift? The dwarves are legendarily stubborn. No offense, Durgan, but you probably know better than most. How was it that you convinced the brother kings of Stone Rift to aid you in your plight?
I would say, with Dice, what's your take on that? I feel like I'm too close to it.
He looks to Emory and says, well, the brother kings that you know might be different now. One of them is gone.
Yes, I heard rumor of that. Nosmer Stonehammer was executed for treason.
Yeah, well, Nosmer, his death ended up persuading his brother to join the fight. It wasn't us. It was luck. We were in the right place at the right time. That, what was her name? Strong Songs, Proud, that
Una
Hellspringer.
Strong.
That one. She showed up. Was that at Stone Rift? He looks at Durgan.
It's all sorts of a blur, but really what happened was we have been swept away by a wind, by a stream that's bigger than us, and we're just a mouthpiece. We're sort of just flowing. I don't know what you believe, but I have faith, and my faith is growing. And my faith tells me that we're not just circumstantially in the right place at the right time. We're a moving fist. We're made to provoke. And if we keep pressing forward, I don't think there's anyone we can't convince that this is what needs to happen for the realm. So we could give you the details, but I'm sorry to get worked up about it. The King of Stone Rift was helping the Corruptor, and he was executed for it. And it took that to stir him. The Shade Vale had to be in ruins before the elves decided to help. And I fear that if we wait until the Corruptor cuts the head off of every culture in this area, there won't be enough of us to fight. And if we do win, it won't be worth it because there'll be ruins that we stand over in victory.
Emory listens to all of this silently, just listening intently. And as you finish your story, you just kind of hear him say under his breath, "Death to gods and tyrants."
Huh?
What's that?
It's something Arendelle said to me before, and he just kind of gestures to his missing arm. He said, "Death to gods and tyrants." That's... Since he's started this campaign, we've lost a king, we've lost a matriarch. Even if we are successful in this war, he has reshaped Aronoth. He has already done what he set out to do. He has taken the heads of rulers, unseated kings. He set fire to the land. You said yourselves the town of Brook is gone. The town of Bilton is gone. Refugees streaming into the Wayward Wanderer. He's already achieved so much. But so have you. You're right, Durgan. You are set on a path by something other than yourself, something greater. And for every fire, there must be kindling. Maybe we're the kindling. In any case, we should rest up. If the centaurs are anything like they were the last time I interacted with them, which was decades ago, then it's going to be a long day.
Aye.
Well, we've become accustomed to those long days.
Yes, well, I think there will be many more long days before all of this is over.
And Dice kind of bundles kind of a cloth that used to serve as a cape, kind of a side cape for a dress uniform, and just bundles it up and rests his head on it and sleeps quite uncomfortably on the ground.
Yeah. You all bed down for the night as the void moon hovers overhead. And we'll actually go ahead and take a quick 5-minute break here for
Cool.
bathrooming and drinking and all sorts of stuff. So we're going to take a break. Everybody, thank you for stopping by and watching. We've had a pretty consistent amount of viewers the whole night. I appreciate everyone joining us and hanging out while we play some D&D. Stick around. We will be right back.
If you're listening to this right now, hear me carefully.
No.
WASD 20, our very own Nate Vanderzee, is starting to draw maps. He's doing commissions. You need to get on that before he gets backlogged into 2017. You need to hit up WASD 20 for one of them hand-drawn maps. Peace.
All right. Appreciate everyone tuning in tonight to watch session 13. This is our last session of 2015. We won't be meeting again until the new year. So that's pretty crazy. This is like the Provokers Christmas special, if you will. A very special episode of the Provokers. What did Emory get the Provokers for Christmas?
I don't know, Matt. He gave us his house.
Yeah, in the water.
Yeah. Yeah. He was gonna give it to us though. He was ready to like say, "Here, you can have this." And then it sunk.
He was like, "Oh man."
Mm-hmm.
What you eating, Nate?
Lucky Charms.
Dude, awesome.
I know. That pizza looks good too.
Oh, super good.
What kind? I know it's pepperoni, but
It's Pizza Hut pepperoni sausage.
Mm-hmm.
It's leftover. My family had like a Christmas get-together thing yesterday, and we had pizza. So I was like, I'm gonna take some of this.
Nice. Yeah, Provoker's Christmas special. I'm gonna have to like see if I got like a red scarf in my pack or something. That comes with the Explorer's pack, right?
Yeah. Chad said that Emery's house is a lakeside property now.
Woo!
What's up, Barks?
Lock front.
What's up?
Mhm.
Dude, you eating pizza?
I'm super eating pizza.
Dude, I ate a calzone today.
Oh.
We just had a new pizza place open up.
Dude, I
Nice.
love checking out new pizza places.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I just realized that the YouTube was open and playing, so I heard 2 Matt clicks.
Nothing wrong with that.
Hey, never anything wrong with that. But yeah, they just opened up a new place, and they start delivering tomorrow. It's actually, I'm sure it's elsewhere in the world. It's called Pizza 9. It seems like franchisee or chainy, so
Okay.
but it's pretty good.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. Nothing really lasts in this town. Like most of the things they're here for like a month and everyone loves them, and then they're just gone.
Like quick turnaround.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. No, we are a vinyl banners in the place of like hanging on the front of buildings. That's our type of town because that's easy to take down and put up a new one.
Absolutely. I'm still broken up about Taco Time closing in Milton.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that hurts.
That's happening. So is it? It's not
gone.
closing everywhere. Is it?
No,
is it,
just the location here.
What's the nearest Taco Time to you now?
There's one that's like it's like 15 minutes away. It's in Federal Way though.
Yeah.
And like you don't want to go into Federal Way at
way.
dinner time because you'll never get there. You'll just never get there.
There's one road and everyone's using it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I hate driving in Federal Way. I hate it.
Driving
And
in
it all
Federal
looks
Way
the
is a
same,
lot
too.
like driving in Puyallup, where it's just like you just don't want to be there. You just don't want to be driving there. Yeah, but there's a Taco Time and there's a Popeyes chicken down there, which is like my preferred. If I'm gonna go out and get chicken, I'm going to Popeyes.
Oh yeah.
I'm not a KFC guy. I'm a Popeyes guy.
Mm-hmm.
Never been to Popeyes. I should fix that.
It's so good. It's a little bit too good. They have Cajun fries, which are fries that have like spicy Cajun seasoning on them. They're so good.
Yum. In Honduras, I did a study abroad semester,
Mm-hmm.
and they had Popeyes. It was Popeyes, but they pronounce it Popeyes.
Popeyes.
Hey.
That's what I'm gonna tell Tila next time we want Popeyes. I'm gonna go. I want to go to Popeyes.
Popeyes.
When we were in Belize, like before you go, like you have to go get shots and make sure you're on.
Yeah.
You get whatever, and their job, these people, their job is to just scare the crap out of you, like because they don't want to be liable for you getting hurt in a foreign country, so they're telling us that like the monkeys are going to eat our faces off, and like don't look at the monkeys, they'll eat your face. And they basically told us to not eat anything there that was not given to us by this place that we were staying, which honestly, that place we were staying, I mean, all of the stuff they had was local foods anyway, but it was like we were like for the first 2 days on malaria medicine and just eating boring food, and we were just like, this sucks, like this is our honeymoon. And we're puking because we are on malaria medication, and anyway, long story short, we decided to F it and stop taking our malaria meds and start eating whatever we wanted, and that was the best meal I ever had in my life. Was on a roadside stand, beans and rice in Belize.
Yeah.
And we were like, dude, screw that.
That's right, man. That's the thing is like, just that's how you experience, like, if you're somewhere like that, that's how you truly experience is like, let's go eat food that the people here eat. Like, I want to know what they eat and try that, because it's going to be completely different from anything you've ever had. So.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, man. All right. We ready to continue, gentlemen?
Hell yeah.
Awesome. So, the four of you wake at dawn on the Bloodhoof Steppe. It's difficult to sleep because of the wind. You slept with your backs to this kind of rocky outcropping to keep the wind from blowing across you all night, but it still would buffet against the rocks and wake you up several times as you were trying to sleep. But you wake up just after dawn. Emory is kind of kicking the fire, kind of covering it up, getting his stuff ready to go, and he greets you all as you wake up. Says, "Ready to go."
Aye. And you see Durgan is dipping some of the biscuits from the sunken dock that he had stored away in his little mug of ale. It's just like double duty.
Awesome, man. Yeah, Emory is kind of scarfing down a stale biscuit that he took from the sunken dock as well.
Well, they taste less stale if you dip them.
That looks absolutely disgusting, Jurgen.
I think I'll pass. Thanks, though.
They're not that stale.
Well, I call them beer biscuits.
Can't imagine why.
Well, we should get going.
Absolutely. Emory, now, I don't mean to kind of appoint you, but to be completely honest, you know more about this area and more about these people than any of us. Would you mind leading the way? And I mean, you don't have to do all the talking if you don't want to, but I mean, we could definitely use your help navigating our way there.
I'll help however I can. However, Erdon is a much more skilled tracker than I am. And last time I was here, I was on Griffinback. I haven't actually walked the steppe ever before. But I will help where I can, and it is true that I know quite a bit about how the tribes operate. I had to treat with them several times during my tenure with the Convocation, but it's mostly going to come down to luck, I'm afraid.
Well, to be honest, we've actually had quite a bit of that, I suppose, in the grand scheme of things.
Seems that way, based on what you've told me.
The people that we run into, though, friend and foe, I wouldn't share that same regard. Sorry about your house.
It's all right. Now I have nothing to worry about. Nothing keeping me in Fulgrim. Clean slate, so to speak.
That's the spirit.
Yeah, that's the way we think.
Fair enough. He kind of looks to the sky, points upwards, and if you look up, you see an eagle bigger than any bird you've ever seen. Not quite as big as a griffin, but just a massive wingspan. And this thing is circling overhead. And Emory says, centaurs of the Bloodhoof Steppe, they're able to see through the eyes of their eagles. They use them to scout as they move across the steppe, taking Calcutta with them as they move. It might be that they already know we're coming.
Then I suppose I shouldn't shoot this, and I kind of put the arrow back into my quiver.
And, like, you did so without anyone even noticing that you were just drawing back ready to take this thing out. And Emory says, oh, no, don't shoot it. That might belong to someone that we need to talk to.
Right.
The centaurs are very skilled trainers of eagles and falcons. They use them to great effect. So, yes, please don't shoot it down.
Right.
I'm glad you hesitated, Erdon. I have no doubt that you could have taken that out of the sky with a single shot.
It would have gone well with these biscuits.
You have a point.
Maybe next time.
Maybe.
So should we try to get its attention? Like, wave it down? I mean, then a centaur would come, it would you'd talk to it.
Well, I don't think it'll work like that. If you want to wave it down, we can try, but mostly it might just be that the centaurs know that someone is walking across their territory. Whether they care enough to send someone to talk to us, I don't know.
I think in that case we should probably be wary not to draw our weapons so quickly. And Dice kind of looks at Erdon in an apologetic way.
Right. I didn't know.
And Emory kind of nods to Erdon and says, well, we had a pretty good lead on their trail yesterday. Let's try and pick it up again and find Calcutta.
I think, yes, I remember. When we went to bed last night, yes, that way.
Very well. So, you all set off. Erdon, go ahead and give me a survival check as you follow the trail.
Sorry, I dropped my d20 and I had... Okay, I'm going to try again. All right, that is 22.
22, yeah. You find the trail of the tribe. It's easy to pick it up once you find it. You find the disturbed dirt from their hooves beating against the ground. And as you follow the trail for a few hours, the clouds kind of overtake you guys, and it becomes quite a gray, overcast day. The wind, which is cold and frigid coming off the white crags, beats against your face, chapping the skin of your face and your lips, making it hard to hear each other as you speak. But you follow the trail nonetheless, coming across a few old campfires as you do so. And as you walk across the steppe leading the way, Erdon, Emory kind of moves back to talk to Dice and kind of leans into you, Dice, so that you can hear each other. And he says, you served Talmor. I recognize your uniform. Did you fight in the War of the Broken North?
Barely. Do you hail from Talmor?
No. I'm of Krieg myself, but I've visited Talmor. Yes. I've visited Talmor many times in my times as a Convoker, and, well, obviously we served alongside each other in the war, though we never met or crossed paths. I was up, you know.
Yeah, I remember seeing you. Well, not you.
I know what you mean. That was all wars are bad, but that was a particularly not good one.
Dice kind of has a sudden flashback, a loud one, of just black earth and fire overhead, and digging in so deep into ground that your mouth gets filled with the charred sand, and he spits it out and looks over and sees his injured friend before he snaps back out of it. And he says, "Well, I only have that one to to compare to." So, yeah, it was bad.
Were you there when Alfheim burned?
Alfheim.
Yes, the Elven Wood.
I don't think so, but they never really told us the names of the places.
Yes, I imagine they wouldn't. That was a dark day, and I was overhead when it happened. I can only imagine what it would be like to be on the ground. Anyway, let's hope we never have to experience that again.
I'm not entirely sure that hope would change any destiny that's already set in stone. And Dice just kind of feels this sense of impending doom. And he imagines just a wooden D20 rolling under some unremembered table in Stone Rift and landing on the number 1. And he fiddles around with it in his pocket.
Emory just kind of nods to you in agreement, and you all continue walking. So you have a few moments, or a few hours, tracking the tribe to Calcardo, with which you can talk amongst yourselves or ask questions of Emory. So if you'd like to do so, you can, but otherwise we'll go ahead and skip ahead.
I think Durgan would work up the nerve to ask, I think making bad small talk first. It's obvious. And then he would just say, I do want to know what, the Corruptor, what was he like before he was like this? And he would lift up his hammer and sort of, you'd see the crumbled mask, that's seen battle.
It's difficult for me to separate Arendelle as he is now and Arendelle as I knew him, but he was a remarkable person. He was kind-hearted and good and courageous and one of the most selfless people I've ever met in my life. When we served together, he saved my life maybe a dozen times. He was always troubled with the way of things. Never really liked how things were done. Never approved the squabbles of rulers, the wars that left so many dead for no apparent reason, for a few miles of extra territory. Believe it or not, he was a great man. But his potential to do good things was also a potential to do great evil. He's still a remarkable person. Still an uncommonly powerful and capable person. It just so happens that our motivations are in conflict.
Aye.
Do you think he could be brought back?
I tried once. I don't know if there's enough Arendelle left in him. Whatever energies took hold of him in that temple in the south, whatever entity occupies his body, it might be too potent. And he gets very somber, very serious, and he says, if any of us have the chance to end him, that is not a moment for hesitation. Whether he can be brought back, I don't know. I don't think it's worth it to try and find out.
And you don't have to worry about me. As soon as I can take a shot, I'll take the shot.
I was mostly saying that for me. I'm not worried about any of you.
It's very courageous of you to admit that necessity.
Well, it's something I've been running from for a long time.
Aye.
In any case, the corruptor Arendelle is on the horizon. Right now, we have to deal with these ill-tempered centaurs first, which it's kind of a toss-up, which I'd prefer to deal with right now.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I feel like my knowledge of Arendelle is maybe one of the few things I'll be able to provide to you. So, any questions you have, you can always ask. You continue following the trail, and after a couple more hours, the sky overcast above you, the wind whipping at your faces, you, Erdon, you catch some sounds on the wind carried towards your elven ears. You hear shouting, and you hear the clang of steel upon steel, distant over the next hill.
There's a fight going on up there. Can you hear it?
Aye. Sounds like blade on blade.
I don't hear anything. Are you sure?
Oh, I'm sure.
Let's just move slowly now.
Right.
Aye. Or quickly.
There
So-
may be no time for that too.
You continue moving, keeping low, and as you crest this hill, you see this kind of basin below you, just kind of this bowl-shaped little valley, and in this valley you just see this sea of tents, just maybe hundreds of tents made with different hides and furs, and you see that there's a massive tent at the center, and colorful banners are just blowing in the wind from these tents. And you see that there's a battle going on below in this sea of tents. A couple of the tents are torched and burning. You see these massive creatures. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever stood next to a Clydesdale horse, but imagine a Clydesdale with a, like, particularly large football player on top of it. That's how big these centaurs are. Like, they're just massive, imposing creatures, and their hoof beats on the ground are like thunder. Like, you can feel the vibrations in the earth underneath you, even at this distance, from their hoof beats as they move through the tents. And you see that these centaurs are doing battle with uniformed men, human men, it looks like, humanoid at least. They're wearing uniforms that are kind of strangely familiar to you. And you almost get this sense of deja vu, and then you realize that the uniforms that they're wearing look kind of similar to the one that Dice wears. And these men are moving around the outskirts of the camp, and they have crossbows, and they're firing the crossbows into the camp and doing battle with these centaurs. And Emory is kind of eyes wide, says, What's going on down there?
Who's that? Are those soldiers of Talmor?
I think you're right. Yes, those are Talmor soldiers. What are they doing down here?
This far south, I have no idea. Would I actually have any idea? I mean, have I ever heard of...
You're absolutely flabbergasted. Like, like Talmor is not super far away, but it is like one continent up. Like it's pretty freaking far. So to see Talmor uniforms down this far south is a little unsettling. Definitely not something you were expecting to see, Dice.
Who's closest to us? Maybe some Talmor soldiers, because Dice is sort of thinking that maybe we should kind of meet up with them first, just because Dice has the uniform. Maybe we'll, garner a little bit of peace and well-being from finding someone that is more relatable.
Yeah. So the Talmor soldiers are kind of surrounding the camp. So you would have to go through the soldiers before you got to the centaur camp.
Okay, so Dice kind of looks to everybody and says, "Hey, follow me," and he will go to kind of an outcropping, maybe of where there might be an outpost or something with a few of these soldiers, not immediately in combat, maybe to figure out what's going on, or yeah. But he's definitely flashing his uniform, and he actually tries to button the top buttons, but it's, he's skipping a couple because they're broken off.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and your uniform is definitely a little bit more haggard, a little bit more worn than the uniforms that these guys are wearing. And as you move towards these soldiers, you actually recognize the one giving orders, Dice. This is your old commanding officer. You can describe what this person looks like and give them a name if you'd like.
Bentley's face is as square as can be. It's chiseled not in fine features, but in the block of marble itself. The only things jutting outward are his eyebrow ridge, his not too prominent nose, and just his grizzled 10 o'clock shadow that never grows, and he never shaves it. And he has just a huge gap in between his two front teeth, and when he barks orders, he spits, and he knows no other way than authoritarian command. And Dice is not extremely happy to see him as the words, "Dice! Freeze it! Freeze the meat! One job! One job! Freeze the meat!" And Dice snaps back out of it, and he sees, "Meat!" He screams, "Meet them in the center concourse!" as he's screaming to some soldiers who are running towards the center of this town. And Dice flashes back to it. Small pause, but then he looks at himself and clears his throat and kind of spits a little bit. And he looks up and he realizes that he's not Dice. The only meat that he freezes is the meat of his enemies. He's not the Dice that he once was. And he almost struts forward to this commander as if he's Bentley's commander, with just a tiny pang of anxiety in the back of his head.
Absolutely. What are Erdon and Durgan doing as Dice is strutting towards Bentley?
That was awesome, Barker.
That was like so great. That was the best in-game editing. He was like, meet them in the and I just saw like the cut and that's just.
That was great. That was great.
Cool. I guess I would just be hurrying along, trying to kind of match Dice's stride and if he's kind of acting confident, I would match his confidence as well and do my best to act like we know what we're doing here.
Sure, and I think Durgan would look to Dice for a cue of, do you want us with you, or is this something you need to do alone? Like, kind of gives him a look like, you call it here.
Dice doesn't even seem to be paying attention. Commander Bentley, is he kind of directing kind of troops and movements kind of behind the line a little bit, so he's not, in direct combat? Is that the case?
Yeah, he's in his uniform, and he has his hands. He would always walk with his hands clasped behind his back. He would always grab one of his wrists and walk, and he's sort of just walking along the back lines, and occasionally he'll point and give orders, and he's mostly just kind of surveying the battle, just sort of like routine, watching this thing kind of happen as it should. And his men, you see, have set up barricades outside of the town and are essentially just like trapping the centaurs inside Calcordo, and are just firing crossbows whenever they kind of peek between the tents and stuff. It seems like this is a battle that has been going on for at least a couple of hours. They're essentially sieging this tent city.
Okay. Now, Dice will look to Durgan and say, Durgan, Erden, Emory, wait here. You'll know when to come in. And Dice turns around and begins walking directly towards Bentley, and he's hoping that people will kind of see him as maybe a scout or one of their own as he crosses through the line, approaches Bentley, takes his staff, and smashes it upon the side of Bentley's face, hopefully knocking him to the ground. If that were to be the case, he would just proceed to beat him over and over and over again for every single moment. As these memories in the military, as these memories flash of Bentley, even going to the point of screaming that Aaron Ellington is nothing. Aaron Ellington is no one, and not even his daughter stayed. And that is the last memory that flashes through Dice's head as he attempts to connect the end of his staff to the teeth of Bentley.
Yeah, do so with advantage and take an inspiration point as well.
Okay, cool.
While, as Dice moves off, by the way, Emory kind of looks at Durgan and Erdon and says, does he know what he's doing? And then as he says this, he looks over and he sees that Dice is just laying into Bentley with the staff, and he's like, what?
And Durgan just sort of looks like, as Emory asks, he goes to put his hands up like, oh yeah, and then he just sees the same thing, like Dice's hands, and Durgan starts to like pace towards, but not run, but just like that fast walk, like your friend's drunk in the 7-Eleven and just knocked down all the chips. Like you're just like, I'm like fast walking towards Dice, like, oh my god, how many soldiers just saw that? Like, but still keeping enough distance to where I'm like, okay, but he's got to do this. But I'm watching his back, so that if any other soldiers are like, hey, that's my commander, it's like, well, now we're fighting an army.
Yeah, okay, awesome. Erdon, are you following suit?
Yeah, I would probably kind of put my hand to my back to my quiver again and pull an arrow and just kind of, I'm sidling in that direction, very concerned.
Yeah, and Emory follows you too, and he just kind of has this face like, okay, like just going along with what you guys are doing, and you see him loosen that sword in its scabbard just so it's ready to come out at a moment's notice. All right, Dice, what did you roll?
Okay, I have not rolled yet.
Oh,
but
okay.
Can I use my inspiration?
Oh, absolutely you can.
Okay, cool. The one you just get. Okay. I used the inspiration, and the first thing I rolled was a natural 20.
Oh,
the game science dice.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Your science is too tight.
Dude, I've been rolling 6s all day.
Oh yeah.
So
2-0.
You absolutely get the drop on Bentley. He has a long sword and a short sword sheathed at his belt, opposite sides of his belt, and you see that he has a crossbow at his back as well. And he's kind of shouting orders, and he kind of catches you out of the corner of his eye and turns, and your staff just connects with his face, and one of those teeth, one of those front teeth that he was always spitting at you through, Dice, he would get in your face while you were trying to prepare the food, and he would spit in your face telling you that you were just a magicier. You were not a wizard. You could only do such simple things with your stupid magic talent. You were only good for cooking, and you're spitting in your face, and you hit him with the staff, and one of those teeth just dislodges from his gums and flies out of his mouth with spit and saliva, and he goes down into the grass of Bloodhoof Steppe and is completely at your mercy.
Anger and rage and love are filling inside of Dice right now as he's thinking about Commander Bentley, also about his daughter, not his dollar. He doesn't have any of those. And he raises his staff to Bentley's chin, and you see just sparks of ice fly off the tip of it. And he feels a tugging in his pocket, and it rips through his pocket is this crimson iron stone that just zooms to the forward part of this staff and begins orbiting it so quickly, so fast that it's like a chainsaw up against Bentley's face, like smacking against his chin, pieces of flesh kind of just skimming off and skinning his face. And he says, "This staff has a name. It's Holly's farewell. And she already gave me one of those, and I broke my heart. So I want you to pray right now to whatever God you believe in that she will never have to give me another one until I'm old and decrepit on some sort of deathbed. And we don't have any time to waste. So you tell me what's happening now. Now!" And that's it.
And Bentley is like, he's on the ground, he's bleeding from his mouth, and as you put this iron stone against his face, he's kind of flinching against it as it's just hitting him constantly in the face. And he's putting his hands up, and you see that he's just completely shocked. The shock on his face is evident. But as you're talking, like in the middle of your statement, you see recognition on his face as he sees you, and you definitely look different than you did the last time you interacted with Bentley, but he sees your eyes, he sees your face, and he sees the uniform all weathered and worn and torn, and he recognizes you. And he says, "Dice, what the hell are you doing here? And what the hell do you think you're doing?"
What the hell are you doing here? That's the question. You're the one on your back. Answer my questions.
And at this point, some of the soldiers around you have noticed that you have their commander like on the ground with this staff pointed at him, and they kind of rush towards you. "Sir, sir!" And he holds up a hand, and he says, "Get the staff away from my face, and I'll tell you."
Dice leaves it there for just a purposeful moment before lifting it off, but he never takes it away more than 24 inches away from his face. And he says, "You can sit up, but no more, bastard."
He sits up, he is spitting into his hand, just blood coming from his mouth. And at this point, Erdon and Durgan and Emory, you've caught up as well. And Emory just has his hand on his hilt. Durgan and Erdon, what are you guys doing?
So I think Durgan would, at this point, understand the fullness of the situation, seeing all that unfold and being able to clearly hear all the yelling. Durgan doesn't know Dice's exact history. He knows the uniform. He knows Holly. But the pieces are starting to come together and form a more whole picture. And I think that Durgan would be watching carefully to make sure that none of the soldiers were going to intervene. So he's sort of like getting his boys back. He's just watching, making sure, and if any of them do anything, I would like to ready an action to throw my hammer at them.
What about you, Erdon?
Yeah, I'm probably just standing there at the ready with my bow. I have an arrow nocked, and I'm honestly not sure whether to try to disable Dice because I think he's crazy, or also protect him. But right. I have it ready for either one.
Absolutely, and as you two kind of come up and Emory comes up as well, Emory sort of says to you two like, this was not part of the plan. What is happening here?
There was no plan.
Right, yeah, there's the problem. And Bentley sits up, and he holds out a hand to his men. Put your crossbows down. They lower their weapons, but are looking at you just like with glaring eyes, Dice. And Bentley says, ask your questions, I guess.
The hum of the Ion Stone comes from its speed, almost like the humming of some sort of power drill, as it's just whizzing around the tip of the staff. And he says, what are you doing here? What are you doing to these people?
What I'm doing is making a living. What I'm doing is putting my skills to good use. What I'm doing is making sure my men here have food in their bellies and gold in their hands. You left, Dice. You haven't seen what's been happening in the north after the war. So you wouldn't know. But times are tough. Several noblemen have been assassinated in the last few months in Talmor. There's unrest everywhere. We soldiers wasn't enough to make a living, so we went rogue. We've been raiding.
You're a thug. You're a mercenary now, is that it?
Yeah, something like that.
So what happened to honor? What happened to every time you yelled the words "for Talmor" in battle? What happened to that?
Don't ask me that question. Ask what happened to Talmor, because the Talmor I fought for in the War of the Broken North, it doesn't exist anymore. Everything changed.
What do you mean?
I mean, it's a different place. We're not fighting for glory. We're not fighting for honor anymore. We're not fighting for justice. We're squabbling amongst ourselves. Nobles striking out at one another for gold and land, killing each other, hiring assassins. So we took our skills elsewhere.
Who hired you?
Who hired us?
Who's paying you? Whose job is this? If you're a mercenary, who's the war profiteer?
It was a woman. Large woman, larger I've ever seen. Name was Strong Song, I think it was.
Dice would kind of glance towards Airden and Durgan, and he'd back away a little bit more. And his posture would be defensive and ready, yet inviting anyone else to speak. But there is a battle going on. And so Dice might add in one more thing. He might say, call off the attack.
No, I'm not calling off the attack. We've been sieging this rabble of tents for hours now. I'm not calling off the attack. This is what we've been paid to do, Dice. And if you're going to interfere, then I'm afraid you're an enemy as well.
How terribly outnumbered are we?
There's probably close to 150 Talmor soldiers here.
So Durgan would pipe up and he'd say, "Oi! How much?"
How much what? What are you talking about? How much were we paid?
Yeah, and he would start to sort of tramp towards him, like, "Don't try me right now." And you would just see him sort of, and he'd go, and he wouldn't get too terribly close, but close enough to have a conversation. He'd say, "Aye, how much blood money is in your pocket for this siege?"
And he's like looking at Durgan, looking back to Dice like this bad cop routine. He looks at Durgan and he says, 3,000 up front.
And I don't remember how much we got. Do you remember? Because I know we've been spending it, and haven't really been tracking that either. I should be. I'm just like, yeah, I give them 10 gold, and I give her, and then I make a mountain.
And I go to Emory, and I just give him some gold, like some level, like
I
really
give him
big
like
of a number.
a pile.
Just all of it.
Give him a whole thing of gold.
I get one of those chip pushers from Vegas, and I just push all my gold towards him.
Slide it over to him. Yeah. At least 12. I give him at least 12 gold.
Yeah.
Somewhere between 12 and 200. I mean,
and he just ballparking. I just flip coins at him like he's a fountain.
I don't know how much gold you guys have. That's totally I don't know.
Yeah, we didn't really like. Ugh.
I mean, maybe Juice has been keeping track of it. I don't know, but
not that much.
but you don't. I know for a fact that you don't have thousands of gold or anything like that.
Yeah, I would probably interject here and say, what if I were to tell you that the one paying you is dead? We're in a strong song. She's
Strong
dead.
Song's dead?
So dead.
That's right.
How do you know?
He cut her throat.
I just saw her a few weeks ago. You cut her throat.
It was a whole thing. He was like sort of evil. He's not a bad guy. He's tough.
No, he's tough. He's a bad guy.
I would nudge Durgan in the ribs with a sharp elbow here. Shut up.
And then Durgan would go back to being all steely and passionate.
And I would pull from my belt the little note, actually. It's in pretty bad shape, but I would hand it to, what's his name?
Bentley.
Bentley.
He takes the parchment, reading.
We found this on some Gevalt raiders, or what were they? Hell Screamers, who were sent to kill us. Strongson tried to. As you can see, she failed.
What, Dice is keeping company with people capable of doing these things? I don't believe it. I don't believe that you were able to kill Strongsong, but this note seems to imply otherwise.
Dice all of a sudden becomes very cold, and his eyes become silver, and ice begins to just cover the ground, and it might even burn Bentley just a little bit, just extremely uncomfortable. And 4 creatures begin rising from the ground, made out of ice, assembling themselves as they go, and they all, by the end of it, are as taller than Dice, and look toward Bentley, and on their faces Bentley can see his own, chiseled in ice, with one missing tooth. And Dice looks at him and he says, "Call off the attack, Bentley. Falhas needs you more than this place."
How are you doing this? You're a magicker. All you can do is cooking, freezing meat. How are you able to do these things?
And upon hearing, "You're a magicker, all you do is cook and freeze meat," he says, "And see, you told me that so many times, and then I started telling myself that. No more." And the hum of the Ion Stone is all he hears.
Bentley is silent for a few moments. He just locks eyes with Dice, not taking his eyes off of him, blood just dripping from his mouth. Then he looks at Erdon and Durgan and Emory. "Give the order. Call off the attack. Stop the attack." One of his sergeants. "Sir, just do what I tell you to do." And the order starts going around the camp. You hear horns being blown. And slowly the sounds of battle start dying. And Bentley looks up at you, Dice, and he says, What now? These centaurs are just going to charge right over us.
Dice lifts the staff, and it's replaced by a hand, Dice's own hand, willing to help Bentley up in a strange gesture that he never thought he would do.
Bentley spits blood on the ground and then takes his meat slab of a hand and puts it into yours, Dice.
And he lifts him up, and Bentley's probably got 6 inches on Dice. And Dice says, well, that's a very good point, and we should probably do our best to make sure that doesn't happen. And then Dice, realizing that that's kind of above his pay grade, kind of looks to Emory, Erdan, Durgan, and Bentley for ideas.
Is there, I guess, I'm wondering if there is like a way to signify peace, or even like, yeah, I don't know, like a white flag sort of thing that we can show.
Right, like some way to basically broadcast to the centaurs that that they want the battle to be over.
Right.
I mean, there's always the white flag, waving a white flag, but again, it might be that these centaurs just don't know what that means too, but it's always worth a shot. So.
So Durgan would sort of look at Erdan, and he would just sort of like kind of brainstorming with him. He'd say, "Oi, so in Stone Rift, if I wasn't in the military myself, but I know that it was customary. If a treaty was to be made, the soldiers would line up. It was not a sign of weakness, it was a sign of power. So we don't stop without reason. We stop and explain the reason. Have the troops line up, show that we're stronger in force, and call for a parley. Their leaders will come out, and if they trust us, or if they even understand us, it's our only chance."
Right. So we just have the men line up? I mean, a line all the way around the camp, or what do you think?
I just kind of know about it. I don't really know how to do it. I've heard stories, I don't know.
Well, I don't have any other ideas.
Well, the centaurs might cut our heads off the minute we stop anyway.
What if you allow me and my men to retreat, fall back? You can pose as the great vanquishers of this army, say that you routed us, made us retreat, saved Calcardo.
I like that.
If you fall back, we can act as... I don't know. We could even give it some time. We could hide over the crest, wait till things have calmed down, and then appear, no weapons, just to talk. I don't know.
I'd say we make a show of it. And then Durgan would turn, and he would smack Dice's commanding officer in the face. Just like, but harmlessly, just like, psh! And then, gotta sell it. You gotta make it look real.
And he takes the hit, and he kind of wheels back with a punch, but stops, and he says, "I already got hit in the face." Blood coming from his mouth.
And then Durgan would be like, "Oi, oi, and he would just like put his hands up to do this, and then just sort of reach up and touch him on the nose and do like a lay on of hands for just like, oh, I was just, oh, and he, like,
Following Durgan's lead, I would probably actually shoot an arrow into the ground and say, "Gone with you!" But I'm intentionally aiming one into the ground. Just
Right. Yeah. And Bentley kind of gets the idea and looks to the sergeants and says, "Sound the retreat. Sound the retreat. We're falling back, falling to the east." And they're just like, "What the hell?" And he's like, "Just do it. We're getting paid." And the guy, they blow the horns, and the horns sound all around, and the cry goes up for retreat, and the men start falling back. And Bentley looks at you, Dice, and he says, "We'll be over the hill. After this is done, we could talk more." "Well, you're a fancy wizard now. Make a big show of it. Put some sparks into the air or something as we run away." And he starts moving off, just like grumbling and shaking his head.
Durgan would start swinging his hammer like, "Oh, get out of here!" Oh, and like clanking it a little bit on people's armor. He's like, "No, you freeze the meat."
And Dice will nod to Bentley and smile to Durgan and lift off. And his 4 of these creatures, which how do you pronounce it? Mephits?
Yeah, methods.
Mephits will kind of move with him as he hovers his way into the center of town, staff in hand, surrounded by his friends, his companions, who are all just terrifying and skilled warriors, and Durgan, and then he'll without fear move to an open location to draw attention, and he will take his staff and he'll put it out in front of him, and he will let it float forward about 2 meters, and then it drops to the floor, and the Ioun stone kind of bloop, lands on the ground and rolls a few inches away, just to show, hey, peace.
Right. Awesome. And Eridon and Durgan, what are you doing as Dice does this?
I would be walking with my palms out, just showing we mean you no harm, and just trying to, but yet also still, puffing out my chest a little bit.
Right.
I think Durgan would be standing there with his arms crossed. Just like, I don't know. Just like
Surly.
Like if I could hurt you with my eyes, you'd be dead.
And Emory comes up too as well, and he unbuckles his sword belt and tosses the sword on the pile with Dice's staff, and just kind of looks at Dice and says, "I hope you know what you're doing."
Me too.
Very reassuring. And as he says that, you see a massive figure appear at the end of this row of tents. And it comes towards you, and it's, again, just this Clydesdale, this massive horse body with this great brutish-looking man on top of it, just completely ripped, like a bigger person than you've ever seen. Like if you took a Vault Raider and stuck him on the body of a horse, like that's what this guy looks like. And he comes walking out, and he's carrying this massive spear. It's more of like a lance or a pike. It's just got this wicked barbed spearhead on it. And he comes towards you, just breathing. And his hooves are kicking at the ground as he comes towards you, and the muscles in his arms are flexing. And he speaks to you in a very strange language. He says it again, same thing.
Dice, I don't suppose Dice understands a word he's saying.
No, and then he looks between all of you and he says,
Coming.
Oh, yes! Common. Yes.
Where did big army go?
Away. Gone.
Okay, where?
Retreated. From us.
From you.
From me. And my friends.
Why?
Because we mean to help protect you. And help work alongside you. Not that you need our protection.
Calcorto needs no help. Calcorto needs no protection.
I know, yeah, sorry. But they're gone. And that's good. Good, gone.
My name is Majen.
Majen.
I am lieutenant to Khan Timur. You speak to Khan now.
Will he be coming out here?
No. Khan does not leave Big Tent. You come and speak to Khan now.
Dice looks to his companions and sees if they have any reservations or anything to say.
Emory has this look like, dude, like, I'm following your lead at this point. Like, I'm completely out of my element.
And Durkin sort of looks at Dice and he just says, "What else?"
Dice looks up at this huge creature. Could probably break Dice in half with a single stroke on accident.
Yeah.
During a solidly, striking sneeze. And he looks him in the face and he tells him, "No. Your Khan will come out here. My name is Aaron Ellington. I reign from Talmor, and we have just defeated this army that was surrounding your city, your village." And he looks around at some ruins, some not. It's still standing because of us. Your Khan might stay in his tent, but not today. Today, he comes out here and speaks with those that have helped to save his village.
And Majin rears up on his back legs and blots out the sun. And you see these hooves just come down, but he lands right in front of you, Dice, just and kind of bears down on you with his humanoid torso. And he wheels around and says, "Stay here," and gallops off.
What are you doing? I kind of say out the side of my mouth.
Yeah, and as soon as Majin is far enough away, I release my breath oh, I did not see you taking it that direction.
Dice pukes onto the ground just a little bit. Some of the bread, and said, "I don't know. I don't know what's gotten into me, but trust me. Trust me. For now."
You've got my
Think
trust.
you've lost your damn mind, Dice. They're gonna run us down. They're just gonna run us down.
I think it'll be okay.
You can fly. We can't. We can't outrun centaurs. And as you're standing there discussing it, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and Dice's face is now it's more feared, like he's just abandoned his friends to death, and he's really hoping that after this whole journey that the DM, I mean the Khan, doesn't destroy the entire party just for the sake. But he does actually have this fearful expression on his face. And he's just thinking about Holly, and that's it.
After a few minutes standing there, you see coming around the corner of these row of tents, you see Majin again, and he's leading another centaur who is not quite as imposing. He is an old centaur. He's overweight with a swelling gut. His back is bowed, like this kind of swooping bowed back. And you see that when he walks, he does so with a bit of a limp, his hooves digging into the ground. And he's carrying a spear, and this spear is laden with these colorful banners, the banners of tribes that he's conquered. And you've heard some about Temur. Temur the Undaunted, he was called. You were told that he was a great leader, a great warlord, that he was massive in stature and great in strength, but the centaur that comes before you is a broken creature, a broken, weak, haggard, old creature. The gray in his hide is matched only by the gray and the beard that flows from his brutish-looking face. And he comes forward leaning on this staff, being led by Majin, and behind him even more centaurs, all of them carrying spears, all of them glaring down at you.
They're going to be glaring down further as Dice falls to his knees, his hand clenched around some sort of object.
Majin brings the Khan before you, and you see that the Khan is not only being led because he is old and frail, but you see that his eyes are milky and glassed over. And as he steps out into the sun, you see that he's not looking down at you, Dice. He's looking off into the distance. And as he speaks and addresses you, he does not look at you because Khan Temur the Undaunted is blind. Who calls the Khan out into the sun with such arrogance?
Those who would bring the sun back across Aronoth, across the Western Southlands.
We care not for Aronoth, we care not for the Western Southlands. I care only for Calcarto. I care only for my people.
Then that is something that we disagree with. And he holds out his hand and opens it, and therein lies the tooth of Commander Bentley.
And Majin leans in and says something in that strange language to Temur. And Temur nods. So it was you who vanquished the army who laid siege to Calcarto.
It was we. And he looks around and says, there are 3 more. Erdon Seroshin of the Shade Vale. Durgan, Blood Mountain of Stone Rift. And he looks at Emory and says, Emory sure.
And he kind of says, Emory is fine.
And Emory of the Fishing Shack.
And Temur nods at the names. You come from far. All of you come from far distances, far lands. Lands that no Bloodhoof has tread in centuries. Why have you come seeking Calcarto? Why do you seek audience with an old broken Khan?
Because there are people in this world that do not share your isolationist principles. There are people in this world that wish to march upon you and to see your lands burn. as, and he looks at Erdon, as Erdon's, or as Durgan's, as the one thing we all share, is that we are all defenders of this place. And this place includes yours. And we need your help.
You need my help.
Need your help.
But I am of no consequence. I am a Khan who failed to conquer the Western Southlands. I am a Khan who has failed his people time and time again. I am an old, blind warrior who has nothing to give except words. And those words are, move on. You will find nothing here of worth.
And as he's speaking, you see that Majin next to him is kind of like snorting and grunting as if he's disagreeing heartily with his Khan.
Why is it that you are Khan?
I am Khan, as my father was before me. And I am Khan to many because I united us, as no one else has. And then I brought ruin upon our people. Because I followed the moon and the stars, and they led me astray. They led me into Fulgrim. They led our people to death and defeat, as we have never known.
Yet you are still Khan. And he looks to the centaur to the right of the Khan. I can't remember his name.
Majin.
Majin. He looks to Majin and says, why is he Khan? Why do you serve him? Listen to Majin. He'll tell you.
He is Khan because he has always been Khan. Because he is strong and he is wise. And though he sees only the defeat of our campaign 10 years ago, I see great victory and glory in what we achieved. For never before had the centaurs of the Bloodhoof Steppe taken to riding that far, and never since have we. You will excuse Majin, he is young and misguided.
He is right. You're not Khan Teamer, the failure. You are 1 month away from being Khan Teamer, the defender, the uniter.
What is it you need from us of the steppe that you cannot get elsewhere?
And this whole time, Dice is, if anyone else wants to chime in, feel free. In fact, Dice would look toward Durgan or Erdon for a proper way to phrase this.
I think Durgan would look to Erdon as well, especially since we just came out of the Shade Vale. That wound is freshest.
There is strength in your people. There is frailty, yes, we see that, but there is great strength. We need this. You need this. My homeland was scorched. It is in ruins. There are survivors who are now trying to scrap together enough to mount an assault on those who would do harm to all of this. And I look around at the tents, at the land. We need your help. You feel frail, you feel weak, but look around you at these warriors. You can feel their strength coursing through this land. There is great strength here.
And Majin finds himself nodding along with you, Erdon. And the Khan says, I am tired. I wish to lay down. You are safe here in Calcarto. I am forever in your debt for your help in repelling the men who laid siege to my people. But we must talk elsewhere.
Absolutely. Now, there's one more thing I wish to ask of you.
Ask it.
You are a glorious Khan. You have accumulated riches beyond me. And he says, is there any way you could spare 3,000 gold?
And all the other centaurs are like, what the hell is he laughing at? And he just says, first you ask for my help in combat, and now you ask for a loan.
It will be repaid.
I will see what I can do. You are right in that I have acquired great riches in my time as Khan. But there was always one obstacle I could not overcome, one thing I could not conquer. One city whose walls repelled me again and again until finally I was broken and bent and blind and retreated back into the steppe. Fulgrim. My folly, my greatest failure, was at Fulgrim. He kind of looks to Majin. Take me inside. I wish to sit down. Bring them. Make sure they are fed. And Majin turns and leads the Khan away. And you all follow, and you're brought into the big tent at the center of Calcardo. And it's massive, just like a circus tent sized tent. And there are lanterns hanging from the support structure of this tent. There is a giant fire blazing in the center, the smoke curling its way up and out through the ceiling. And there are blankets laid everywhere, and you see that there are centaurs in here, women and children, and great warriors sitting here and there, laying on these blankets. There are massive centaurs with spears at every entrance. And there's a great pile of blankets and pillows near the fire where the Khan lowers his great weight, his broken body, as he lays himself down. And you see that there are pillows set before the fire, and he says, sit. We will talk more.
And Dice sits.
And Emory follows suit too, and he's been kind of quiet up until this point, kind of making you guys take the lead. And he sits next to you, Dice, and he leans in and like kind of pulls you close and just kind of whispers in your ear, and he's actually speaking Elvish to you, and he says, the Khan mentioned Fulgrim was his greatest failure. Perhaps if we tell him that the orcs are going to take Fulgrim, he may act.
But why? Why would he? Oh, sorry, Aaron. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sorry. It was all you, man.
Dice just asked why. Why would that happen?
It seems like he sees Fulgrim as his, something that he is destined to take, something that he failed to take. If he knows that the orcs, which are not well liked by the centaurs. If he knows that the orcs are going to take Fulgrim, you've already got him on the teetering point, Dice.
Yes.
I'm impressed. He's closer to helping us than I ever thought.
And Dice looks to Aradon and says, Conteamer, my companion Aradon Suresteel will now tell you what happened at the Shade Vale, what the orcs did there, and what the orcs of Skullridge plan to do next.
And I look rather surprised. Well, as I told you, Great Khan, they scorched my home. The Shade Vale is in ruins. People slaughtered. The elves are on the run. Many of them have fled toward Fulgrim. And now it is clear that the orcs are going there next. They will not stop. And it is not just these orcs. There is much more. They are just one weapon in the hands of a great foe. But Fulgrim is now bracing for an attack. And that attack will come elsewhere, many places, if we do not act.
My shamans have told me of this being that you speak of. A man astride a great winged beast, much like our eagles. They say that he is waging war on the Western Southlands, a war unlike anything we've ever seen here. Not since the days of old. My father's father's father. You say the orcs will take Fulgrim. Perhaps they will do what I could not. And Majin comes over and stands behind the Khan and says, Great Khan, you cannot allow the orcs to do what you are destined to do, what our shamans told you you would do. That the things we saw in the moons and the stars will not come to pass if the orcs take this town. And the Khan sweeps his blind gaze over all of you, Provokers, and says, But I would be coming to the aid of Fulgrim instead of conquering it. This is not how I interpreted the visions.
But who are we to put our words in the mouths of the moons and the stars?
They move mysteriously. The void moon hangs in the sky, now as we speak. Grim portents, ill omens. Bad for our people.
But ill omens do not have to be met with laying down, with acceptance. Ill omens demand great action to make sure that they are not as ill as they need to be. Things can be better.
When we rode against Fulgrim 10 years ago, the stars were right. The moons hung in the sky, and they told us we would be victorious. But we were not. Perhaps you are right, elf of Shade Vale, dwarf of Stone Rift, man of great arcane power. And your fisherman friend. And Emory kind of nods to him like, yep, that's me. And the Khan says, perhaps what you say is true. Perhaps I misinterpreted the moons. Perhaps I did not see the stars for what they were. And now I see nothing. I see no moons, no stars. It is time that we did not let them hold sway over us any longer. It is time that we acted in the best interest of Calcarto. What would you have my people do?
Ride with us. If you and your people, if we can remove the orcs of Skull Ridge from this corruptor's army, that would give the people of Falhast, the people who are the last line of defense against the corruptor and against his trekking over your own lands and everyone's lands, that would tip the balance.
There's a silence in the tent as your words reverberate off the walls, Dice. Everyone listening with bated breath to what the Khan says next. And he says, "It has been too long since we rode together as one tribe. To save our land and to preserve my destiny as Khan of Bloodhoof Steppe, we will ride with you against the orcs of Skull Ridge." There's a murmur as he says this. "We will crush them. We will ride over them. We will charge through them, and they will fall beneath our hooves and die beneath our spears and our bows. The ground will thunder with the hooves of the steppe once more, as it did 10 years ago." And there's more murmurs, like everyone's kind of getting hyped up, like, yeah, that sounds awesome. And the Khan says, yes, we will ride with you. We will crush them."
Dice just has a huge smile on his face, and he looks to his friends and to Emory.
And Emory just has this look on his face like, I can't believe that just happened.
Durgan is standing, and I don't even think Durgan realizes that he's standing. But he's captivated by the words of the Khan, too. He's seeing this old gray piece of charcoal that has seen a wind swept across it, and a core that is still super hot is now burning at the surface.
And I'm still sitting there, and I'm just imagining as he's saying these words about crushing the orcs and the thunder of their hooves. I'm just picturing it in my mind, trying to imagine what this must look like, these massive creatures thundering to battle, and I'm just kind of marveling at the very thought of it.
Absolutely. And like as he's finished this speech, like a great cry goes up in the tent, and he calls for a feast, and food and drink is brought out, and these great like haunches of meat roasting over the fire, and they bring you this just crazy potent alcohol that's made with centaur milk and mixed with a bunch of different stuff, and there's a great celebration to be had as the Khan says that they will unite the tribes, bring everyone together and ride against the orcs, and that for one last time he will ride into battle as Khan of Bloodhoof Steppe, and Temur the Undaunted will be remembered for something other than failing to take Fulgrim. As we leave the Provokers in the tent of Temur the Undaunted, we move to the town of Akaran, far, far to the east, at the mouth of the Broken Pass, just a few days' ride from the city of Falhast. Seated at a table, looking at a map with his fingers steepled, is a massive armored man, his blonde hair hanging in front of his face, his eyes so cold and gray, eyeing the map, weighing the different pieces that are there. Someone says, "Corruptor, someone is here to see you." And he turns and simply waves the man in. A man with one eye, a large man with one eye, comes in and he's carrying a trunk dripping with water. He's limping, bleeding from several different wounds. This man says that he did battle with those Provokers and that he failed. And the Corruptor says, "If he failed, then why is he presenting himself before me? He says he has something for you." And the Hell Screamer dumps the trunk on the table. The Corruptor stands and opens the trunk. And he reaches in with a gauntleted fist and pulls out a helmet. And he drops the helmet. "He is still alive, and he is helping them." And that is where we will end our session for tonight.
Awesome. That was so fun.
That was so fun.
Oh my god.
That was killer.
That was a blast.
You guys killed it tonight, man. Thank you so much. That was
That was
awesome.
one of the coolest combats. I think that was the coolest combat I've ever played in. The way it was like in two phases, the inside the shack and then the floor falling through. Like that was just like I always felt like the place was moving. I always felt like there was like that is some being that you are the better game master. Like that is the shit, man. That was just so awesome.
I don't know why I have such an infatuation with putting you guys in tiny enclosed spaces with Hell Screamers, but that's like my shtick now at this point. Like falling elevator, shack sinking into a lake. Like pretty soon you guys will be like inside a box, just like fighting Hell Screamers inside a cardboard box or something.
In a coffin.
Yeah, in a coffin that is dropped out of an airplane, and it's just.
You guys have
Man, this is getting crazy.
Operation Provo Drop.
Operation Provo Drop.
Oh my god. Also, every time I heard the word Shaq, I thought of Shaquille O'Neal. It has nothing to do with anything, but I don't know, for some reason I was just like,
He's
Shaq dropping into the lake.
Shaquille O'Neal is the fifth Provoker.
He always has been.
Yeah, he
always has been. From the Magic to the Lakers, he is.
This damn fisherman's Shaq just can't hit a free throw to save his life.
Nope.
But he knows Shaq Fu.
He does.
Exactly.
He does.
He also has a boombox with the genie in it. He's the genie inside. No, never
Exactly. Well, we definitely missed our buddy Brasswick tonight, but I think we did pretty well down a man, and hopefully in the next couple sessions here we'll get our Juicy back.
Yeah.
Yes.
And,
yes.
Who knows? Maybe he'll ride into battle with you guys against the orcs here pretty soon. So that would be pretty cool. So awesome. All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in and watching. Again, my name is Matt. I have been your dungeon master for this session. I really appreciate everyone tuning in and watching, and for just all the support and positive feedback you guys give us. And if you go to absolutetabletop.com right now, you have about an hour left to be a better weapon master for the pay what you want price. So definitely go pick it up because it is awesome. It's an awesome, awesome supplement, and I've definitely already been getting some use out of it. So I'm going to let these guys do their outros, and then we're going to go ahead and end these sessions. So Barker, go ahead.
Yes, my name is Barker, and I run the YouTube channel Be a Better Game Master. And this is just a really cool game. I say it all the time, but this game and this character means a lot to me. This is the most fun campaign I've ever played in, and most meaningful to me. So I cannot wait to see what the next sessions have in store for us, and I cannot wait to see how this first season of the Provokers ends. It should be really cool.
Absolutely, for sure. All right, Nate.
Yeah, my name is Nate from WASD20. You can find me on WASD20.net as well, and it's been a blast. I love this, and yeah, can't wait for next time.
Absolutely. All right, Tim.
I'm Tim. I'm half of Tabletop Terrors, and you can check us out on YouTube, or you can go to tabletopterrors.com and see different blog posts and inspirational things and advice. But I just want to encourage everybody who's watching and anybody who watches this video just to keep gaming and stay positive. As simple as that sounds, I've had a few people in the last week or two who they've messaged me and they're dealing with actual depression, and they've explained to me how watching games like the Provokers and other online games has helped them, because it's like they're hanging out with those people. And so I encourage you, just keep doing what you're doing. Get online, game with people, and don't let depression get the better of you even during these holidays. So that's all. And I hope that if you are watching this, that you have a fantastic holiday, and I really appreciate everything that you guys always do for us. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, and this was the Provokers Christmas special, so I wish everyone happy holidays. I hope everyone has an awesome Christmas and a happy New Year, and you'll see us again in 2016. So, yeah, that's it, guys. As always, may your pizzas be hot and ready.
Ready.